Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am wonderful. Hitting the KC. Again, I had 20 to 10, 25, 22. KC, as the dog, is gold. 3-0 in the playoffs with it, as well as the under hitting, which it's ironic because I made a mistake and put over initially in my thing. So maybe some of my customers bet it over by mistake because I said over, but I had 48 under 54. But even that one. So if you took it over, you won. If you took it under, you won. It was supposed to be under bet. And KC and 8 was never a problem. They were down 10-0, and it was quickly 10-3, 10-6, 13-10, and at that point, it was never a problem. What can you say? Mahomes is Mahomes, right? He's the champ. He's the W. This card just went up another, $1,000 as he's now three-peater. And if they go three-peat, the only way they don't win next year is Joe Burrow. It's the only guy that can beat him. We've seen them. They killed Lamar and they killed Josh Allen. The only guy they had trouble with is Joe Burrow, who was injured this year. Joe Burrow's healthy. That's the guy they got to beat. And I don't know that they can beat Joe Burrow. He's mighty tough. Anyway, game went exactly as expected. God, why is Tony Romo do the talking? It was to the point I was ready to mute the sound listening to Tony Romo. He's such an idiot. I don't understand. He's not a good quarterback. He never won a playoff game. Why is he on there? And then he makes the stupidest comments. They should go for it on fourth down. Okay, yeah. What a moron. So near the end of the game, he's saying they should go for fourth down. But he doesn't, again, understand if they miss it, right? There's go for it, but if you miss it, you lose the game, because where he was saying is they were like fourth down before they kicked the field goal, and he's saying, well, they got to go for it because if Mahomes gets it, he'll score a touchdown. Yeah, but if you don't get it, you lose, because then all Mahomes needs is a field goal. You must play both sides. You must say, well, we kick a field goal at least. Maybe we can hold Mahomes to a field goal. I mean, what a moron. So this guy's got no clue what he's doing. You can't listen to him. Just a freaking idiot. He doesn't really analyze. So in other words, what's KC doing? Well, it's Mahomes time, right? And what is Frisco doing, and what are they not doing? The other thing I understand is these injuries. Are they real or fake? Debo Samuel is sitting there acting like his hamstring hurts him. And 2 minutes later, he's in the game running at full speed. And you're like, okay, you got a hamstring injury. You're probably not running at full strength. So was there a lot of fake injuries? George Kittle goes out. He's right back in. I didn't understand a lot of fake injuries. I thought the refs were terrible. It's not that they make the call. It's should they make the call. That defensive holding was a joke. He didn't hold him at all. He stuck his arm out, and the guy ran into it. It wasn't hold. He didn't hold the guy. And it's not something you call on third and long when the play isn't even there and they're not throwing to the guy. You can't throw that flag. I mean, you can get technical. I'm a cop and the guy's the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. He's going 41. Yeah, he is speeding. I can't pull him over. I mean, it's insane, the bad calls. And then they're always trying to, the ref was right. The ref was right. Bullshit. The ref's not right. The ref shouldn't be making the call. And I think there was one offsides they called, defensive offsides. That was bullshit. That they don't. You don't make those calls in the Super Bowl. You don't. The refs should not get involved. Too many penalties. If a guy holds and throws the guy down, okay. There was some low hits on Mahomes they didn't call, roughing the passer on. I was impressed with Purdy. He looked pretty good considering the pressure and they were getting on him. I'd say he looked pretty good. He did avoid. There was a couple of times Smith was about to get him, or Jones, whatever the defensive tackle's name is, and he didn't hurt his arm. He threw it a little bit different to not get his arm stuck where he hurt his elbow like he did last year. That was a big mistake. He didn't adjust to not get the elbow hurt. I mean, you got to realize somebody's coming in. Bosa, he had a good plan against Mahomes. They didn't let him get outside. So imagine if they actually used that against Jalen Hurts, Lamar, CJ Stroud. These guys won't do anything. They'll be lucky to complete 20% of their passes if the rest of the league would do that and not let them get outside. Good game, I thought. Competitive game. Probably should have ran McCaffrey more. Again, he got away from that second half. He threw the ball more instead of running McCaffrey. They ran Pacheco. He didn't really get a lot. They each fumbled at the deep inside the other territory, unfortunately, but that's part of the game. And otherwise, it was a good game, well coached. Mahomes ran when he needed to at the end, not a Lamar looking to run and, fumbling the ball and throwing interceptions. Mahomes did throw the – so our guy asked me about some props. So we hit the first one. There wouldn't be any score after 6 minutes. That left to the 8-minute mark, no score. There was one interception, so he pushed. I don't remember the other props because I really don't pay attention to them, but I think we did pretty good. But that's why I don't bet the props. How the hell do you know? McCaffrey did score. It took the Niners a fake play where they throw it to their receiver who used to be a quarterback, and he threw it back to McCaffrey. And I thought KC got a little bit too emotional running at the play, and then you could throw it back. I thought they didn't play their lanes very well a lot, but they were, they run after the play. So good play calling by the Niners to recognize they all go to the ball, and then if you throw it back. Now, my question is, why didn't you run that play again? That play gets you a touchdown. McCaffrey's untouched, running in 20 yards. Why don't you do it again? I mean, I don't get it. Oh, we've seen the play. Well, so what? You're not prepared for it. You're still not going to be prepared for it. There's college games where they run the same play 25 times in a row. Woody Hayes used to do that. I'm going to run it till you stop it. And he'd hand it off, and they couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop it. I don't get coaches that don't do that. Again, I love that Shanahan lost. He's 0-3 now, Super Bowls. Totally outcoached. Really, the keys, if he had Mahomes instead of KC, he wins, right? Brock Purdy's good, but he doesn't really know how to defend Mahomes. He's not a good defensive coach is the problem. So he keeps losing these games because he can't come up with the stop. And with this Niner team, that's unbelievable. I don't like their defensive coordinator. I don't think you can put in a new system and keep changing defensive coordinators. You've got to have a plan. Bill Walsh used to have a plan, and he'd videotape every practice. And that way, no matter who was the offense, it was Mike Holmgren, and then it went to somebody else and somebody else. They ran the same offense. You don't want to keep switching your defenses. And in this case, where they needed he did not create a defense to stop Mahomes, this guy. Yeah, he'll get a head coaching job because he'll take credit because they have Bosa and they have the other guy who's all pro, the linebacker. So they'll sit there and make this guy head coach, just like the Houston coach that is not a good coach either. Give credit to that, but again, it's if I have Joe Montana, am I a great offensive coordinator? Probably not. I'd have been better if Montana was playing. I think they would have won. That would have been a good game, Montana against Mahomes. Much better than Purdy. Purdy's okay. I don't think Purdy was the reason you lost. I think it was your defensive coordinator. You have to have a defense to stop Mahomes. You have to come up with a way to understand and stop them. They can't do that. They had Warner, the linebacker, on Kelsey, and he shut him down because he's just as fast as Kelsey, and he didn't go for his moves, and that's why they were throwing to the other tight end because Kelsey couldn't get open. The guy's fast, just too fast. So give him credit for that. Bosa, you need him to make sacks. You don't need Bosa to have Mahomes wander to the right. You need Bosa to make 4 or 5 sacks. That's one problem he did. I don't think Bosa should have been the man outside. He should have been on the other side going after him, sacking Mahomes. I thought that was kind of weak. They got Pacheco pretty good. And then they had the turnovers, the fumbled punt. How does that happen? I thought I was watching Harbaugh and the 49ers with the fumbled punt. How do you let the guy who's blocking get hit by the ball, causing the fumble and giving KC the ball at the 10-yard line? How does that happen? That cannot happen. That's bad coaching. Again, that's whatchamacallit. What's his name? Keep wanting to call him Harbaugh, Shanahan. I think of his dad. Okay, Shanahan. See, that's where Shanahan lacks is special teams. That can't happen. And yes, that's his fault. I don't care who their special teams coach. Then fire the special teams coach. How does that happen? It's impossible to happen, and you have it happen in the Super Bowl. You got to be out of your fucking mind. You can't give up points like that. McCaffrey's fumble. That's probably a bad play call. And the other guy's fumble. Pacheco's fumble. It's a bad play call. So I think I love the play. See, look at the play call at the end by Mahomes. They put a guy in motion. He's wide open, touchdown. That's a good play call. That's what I mean, right? Run a play where you're going to have a good play call where the guy's going to be open. That's what the offensive coordinator, or in San Francisco's mind, their head coach needs to do. I just thought that Shanahan, I don't think can win a Super Bowl. I don't think he's a good enough coach to do it. With that team, you should not be losing. You should have beat Mahomes. Let Bosa sack him, not contain him. Bring in another linebacker or whatever. You had Kelsey figured out. Rice caught a few. He's good. He had that touchdown at the end. I don't blame him for yelling. He never looked at him. He looked at Kelsey, and we go to overtime when the guy's wide open for a touchdown. Too much of that buddy shit, right? Anyway, KC's defense, everything I thought. Just shut them down. I hate the overtime rules. We have to be fair and let both teams have it. What a joke that is. First team to get it, it should be sudden death overtime. I don't know why both teams need to have the ball. It really is unfair, in this case, to the 49ers. They march down, kick the field goal, game's over. Why is Kansas City getting the ball? Why do they deserve it? Why do we have to be fair and both teams need it? What a bunch of crap. You had 4 quarters to decide that. It's tied. Whoever breaks the tie should win. So I do think Frisco should have won the game because they went down and scored, and that should have been it. Very stupid overtime rules. There was a couple of plays that the refs just totally blew. The refs do not know how to mark the ball. There was one where I think Kelsey he gets a first down, but they're putting the ball where the knee hits. It's supposed to be where the ball is when the knee hits. So if the knee hits, but the ball's 2 yards in front, the play should be the 2 yards. These refs are so stupid. They're putting the ball where the knee is, which is not correct. It's where the ball is when the knee hits. And so you're carrying it like this, and my knee hits, the ball's 2 yards higher. So they made at least 10 mistakes on that, just marking the ball totally. It's a first down. Oh, no, it's a yard short. They do that on purpose to make the 10. They always do it by the goal line, right? The guy could be in by 10 yards. Well, spotted at the 1. So now there's drama. I mean, it's almost like that's what they're doing. And we're all idiots. We don't realize that, right? So a good game. Again, it's KC will three-peat unless Joe Burrow gets in the way. Because you just beat Philly, who's gone. You beat Frisco, who this is as good as they're going to get. I don't know what else. I mean, Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, you got McCaffrey, you got Purdy, you got a great defense, and you destroyed that team. Who are you going to count? The Lions? Shit. They won't even make the playoffs next year. Are you kidding? So it's KC against Cincinnati, provided Joe Burrow's healthy. And if Joe Burrow's healthy, look out, because they killed Baltimore and they killed Buffalo like they always do in the playoffs. Buffalo doesn't have the defense. Baltimore doesn't have the quarterback. And Joe Burrow is the one that can get him because he's a winner. So Purdy is good, but I think that's as good as he can be. And KC, I'll tell you, their defense is just fucking great. So it's 19-19 at the end. I got 20-12. 20-10. I thought I was going to get it. It was 13-10, and I said, okay, one more touchdown by KC, and we're going to nail the 20-10. But we still nailed it. We had KC winning, and we had under, and both came through. Actually, any teaser won because you would have had Frisco and 4, which wins. I don't know. You don't. Yeah, they won by 3. So Frisco and 4 wins. KC obviously an 8, over and under both win. And that's another reason about a teaser. All you got to do is bet the teaser and you win. And that's what we're looking, that's why you bet the teaser. I didn't think it would get over 42, but it did. So we got that last touchdown. But a weird 19-19, the Michigan kicker choked again, kicked it low. How do you kick a extra point low? Jesus Christ, this guy's the biggest choke I've ever seen. He's missed 5 or 6 kicks. He fucked us on the Cleveland game, missing that kick. And now he just cost himself a Super Bowl by missing this kick. I don't know. I would cut him. I don't see his value, to tell you the truth. He misses too many important ones versus making them. Anyway, so a wonderful playoff run by me, 13-1, dead on. Should have been 14-0. I had my loser was the Buffalo Pitt game, where we're getting all this snow and wind, and they changed the game from Saturday to Monday, which is totally ridiculous. I bet the game probably Wednesday or Tuesday, seeing the weather going, oh, it's getting worse. It's going to be real windy and snowy. You ain't getting points in the game. Make the bet, and then they move it to Monday. Kind of bullshit is that? So I wonder what you could do if you're in Vegas and you make the bet and they move it to Monday. Can I cancel the bet? I would like to think so, because the bet was made on the wind and the snow. But I don't know. But that was the only loser, 13-1. And I'm really perfecting my over-unders. Detroit over every fucking game. Kansas City under most of them. KC is the dog. I mean, it was a beautiful playoffs. So 13-1. I'm going to go into my website and figure out the math. It's not being added right. So I'm going to go week by week and just make a spreadsheet and go week 1, this is what I was at. And I think there's a little translation problem where the pros are easy and then the college, but then what are you doing with the locks? There should be a lock total, but it shouldn't entertain into the total. Those are, if it's a pro lock, it should go into the pros. If it's a college lock, should be in the college. If it's a pro college, we need to have another column and then add pro college and pro college, still have a lock total, but not be included in the total. So I think something is the problem is the pro college or the lock being added into the total. I don't think it's as high as it should be, but it's pretty close. Anyway, made a ton, and it should be a, again, this is why I warn you, the first 4 or 5 weeks, I'm not very good. Not that I'm not good. I'm trying to learn the teams, especially in the pro without preseason. You need at least 3 weeks. And even then, I was losing with Jacksonville and Pittsburgh, and, the Rams weren't cooking yet. And so you try to go to KC and Frisco and Philly and Dallas, the teams that are pretty good, but this is the problem. So anyway, but I'm like that. But I think the last 8 to 9 weeks, not even counting the playoffs, the last 10 weeks, I was probably 90%. Because then I knew what to do. I knew what to do with Washington and Oregon, and Arizona was coming on, and Colorado we knew what to do with, and Texas, Oklahoma, Florida State. So we knew what to do with these teams. Michigan, we didn't know what to do with them till the end. I don't see how you reward a team that doesn't play anybody and you let them in the playoff. I think that's absolutely ludicrous, especially when you keep teams like Georgia and Oregon out and you enter Michigan in, who didn't beat anybody the whole year. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You played Ohio State, but you saw Ohio State was not very good. Why did they get credit? That beating Ohio State was like Georgia beating Florida or Alabama beating Mississippi State or something. Not their best team. I think they fired their quarterback, so he went into the portal, but I don't think anybody took him because I think he sucked. Anyway, so we'll see. And all this alignment next year, I don't really understand it. I don't think it'll work. Why do you need 35 teams in the Big Ten? What's the point of that? That's like Putin saying, well, the U.S. doesn't have much inflation. Even though they print a lot, they move the money out to the other countries. Well, Putin, it still counts as inflation. So I don't get, you've killed the Pac-10, and now how many teams? You got a 12-team playoff. How many teams in the Big Ten are you going to get in there? 6? What are you going to forget? UCLA and Oregon and Washington and Michigan or Ohio State? I look for Michigan to have a pretty big drop-off without Harbaugh. That can't be good for them. Ohio State, I mean, their coach needs to go. He can't win. Anyway, that's called pros. Okay, so let's go through the pros. After the Super Bowl. All right, so again, 13-1, it was a beaut. 13-1 playoff record. Everything in. There we go. 25-22 KC, 17-10 KC, 27-24 KC. You get a guy like Mahomes. The problem is there's only a few guys like Mahomes, and Lamar's not like Mahomes. They'll try to sell you Lamar as Mahomes. The only guy like Mahomes is Joe Burrow and Mahomes, and that's it. So let's go through this. Can anybody make the Super Bowl besides KC and Cincinnati? Cleveland, how can Cleveland compete with Kansas City or Frisco for that matter. Cincinnati, yes, with Joe Burrow. Minnesota, not with Kirk Cousins. So you need a quarterback, Minnesota. Detroit, not with golf. You need a quarterback. You had your chance against the Niners and you choked. You're not going to get another chance. The Bears, obviously, Fields is gone. They need Bo Nix. They need Jalen Daniels. These are the guys that can get you to the Super Bowl. Bo Nix and Daniels and Penix. Although I don't know. Well, Penix beat Oregon twice, so yeah. And Hartman. I think Hartman could definitely he's a winner, be there. Green Bay with Love, no chance. Jacksonville with Lawrence, no chance. Tennessee needs a quarterback. Houston, no chance with Stroud. Indy, no chance with Richardson or Minshew. Denver, we'll see who they pick up for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson could get you there, but you don't play him because of what reason? Oakland needs a quarterback. Buffalo, no chance with Allen. He's had 5 chances to beat KC, can't do it. Miami, no chance to take Tagovailoa. He can't win a big game. The JETSs with Aaron Rodgers, yes, if he can play. New England, Zappe's probably pretty good. They're going to need a quarterback. I read today that they don't want to draft a quarterback. They're going to move down to get what, and then they're going to trade for – who are you going to trade for? Fields? Cousins? I mean, you're not going to trade for a winner. In this draft, when you have 5 very strong Super Bowl type of quarterbacks, and this is the year you want to trade down, wow. You ain't going to see New England in the playoffs for a long, long time. Atlanta needs a quarterback. New Orleans, they're better with Haener than Carr. Getting him in there is another thing. Philly, they had your chance last year with Hurts. Hurts fell apart this year, and they're only going to get worse. And then if Frisco plays this little game they did, keeping Hurts from scrambling to the right, Hurts is useless because he wants to scramble and run just like C.J. Stroud wants to do that. So if you keep Bosa out there, these guys will be useless. The Giants, God knows they need a quarterback. Seattle needs a quarterback. Arizona, Kyler Murray needs a quarterback. KC Mahomes, San Diego with Herbert, maybe with Harbaugh, and they'll have a killer defense, and they can run Eckler a lot, and they need Antonio Gates. They need the tight end, and then they have Keenan Allen. So they need to give him a tight end. They got running, and they've got Keenan Allen. So they need a few more receivers. But they have Herbert, who could do it. The Rams, one with Stafford. Frisco, Purdy, I don't think is a problem. Dallas is a huge problem with Prescott. Dallas has to recognize they're not going anywhere with Prescott. It's like Baltimore with Lamar. I don't know what it is with these teams that are in love with these players, but when they lose, they don't see it. It's sort of like the inflation in the U.S. and the dollar's collapsing, but everybody here says, everything's fine. And they don't see it. And you're just sitting there going, I don't get what it is that you don't see, that you're not winning with Prescott. You're not winning with Lamar. You're not winning with Josh Allen. It blows my mind. So Dallas needs a quarterback. Washington, Howell's terrible. Tampa Bay, they're not winning with Mayfield. Maybe with Trask if they let him play. Carolina has no chance with Steve Young. Pitt with no chance with whoever, Rudolph or whatever. And Baltimore, no chance with Lamar. So quarterbacks that are probably going to be traded, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota. The Lions should trade Goff, but they're too stupid to. Fields probably goes. Green Bay should trade Love, but they probably won't. Jacksonville should get rid of Lawrence. Tennessee doesn't have anybody. Houston is in a misconception thinking Stroud's good. He's not. He ain't going to win shit. Indy, you really got to get rid of Richard. You never should have drafted him. Again, that's the 2-deep zone. I'm going to have a running quarterback against the 2-deep zone. Like the defensive coordinator is so stupid, he won't play a 1-deep zone. Or he won't bring a safety down, right? We're not that smart. Some of these teams are that stupid. Denver, what are you doing? Now you need a quarterback. Stidham's not your answer. Oakland, O'Connell, certainly not your answer. The other guy, certainly not your answer. The guy who's always hurt. Buffalo with Allen, they need to shore up their defense. You watched the game yesterday and you go, Buffalo could not beat either team. Buffalo would get killed by the Niners and got beat by KC. Josh Allen running the ball. Did you see Purdy running the ball over? No. Did you see Mahomes running the ball over? Only in the last minute of the game and in the overtime did he actually run for a first down. He doesn't do a sweep around the end. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so let's injure our quarterback. That's a great way to go. Buffalo, Miami with Tagliavoa. What are you going to say? He'll get into a big game. They'll blitz him, and he'll throw 3 interceptions and throw the ball away. He can't run. Now, he can't run isn't a problem if you had a running back. Mozart's not bad if he's healthy, but I really don't see what they're doing here. That's score right. Oh, let's sit there. Okay. The Jets, well, if Aaron Rodgers is good, otherwise, they should still probably Zach Wilson. Is it Zach Wilson or is the offensive coordinator? The offensive coordinator is awfully bad, but he's good for Aaron Rodgers. But for anybody else, he's awfully bad. New England need a quarterback. Atlanta, what are they going to trade Heineken? Who wants Heineken? New Orleans, Carr. I would bring in Hayner and see what he's got. Hey, Bobby Bo. No, I just started. Well, yeah, Mahomes. That's what I'm just talking about, the Super Bowl. And this is why we bet Mahomes. And as I said, I went 13-1 in the playoffs. We hit KC 4 times, beating Miami under, and then beating Buffalo, beating Baltimore, and beating the Niners. It's hard to understand why he was the dog in all those games. He should have been favored for sure over Buffalo. And I don't know why they were the dog to the Niners. I didn't understand that. And when Piss gained the shove, he found the guy open. We got the touchdown. We got the win. Again, I thought I was going to get the 20-10. I had it 13-10, KC. And then the Niners scored on some strange touchdown. And anyway, we tied it up. And then I hate the overtime rules. Should be sudden death. This bullshit of, we got to be fair and let both teams have the ball. You just played 4 quarters. Both teams don't need the ball. Both teams had the ball for 4 quarters. Sudden death. Whoever gets the first point should win. I doubled down and took KC at plus 325 in the second quarter. I don't understand that. To win the game, you got 325. How they were? What was it? They were down at halftime or something. Had KC in 4 bets. Well, I had a huge KC in under, which was gold. Any teaser in the game won. Even if you took the Niners, you had 4 points, which won. Like I said, I love the under, and the best was KC getting 8. That was an absolute joke. So yeah, I talked that one guy. He wanted KC minus 7.5 for this for 300, and you got 325. And here, did you take KC money line to 325? Is that how it works? But he wanted KC minus 7.5 for, I think it was 300 or maybe 700 or 500. I talked him out of it. I says, I don't like that. Then he was going to take KC minus 3.5, and I talked him out of that. Yeah, they went down 10-0, and I knew they would come back, so I checked the live bet line, saw it. Yeah, I'd have hammered that. That could be the only time to play the live bet, something like that, because, yeah, there was no doubt they were going to win. And the fact they got 10 down 10-0 was nothing to worry about. You've got Mahomes and Kelsey and Rice. You know, if you didn't have if it was the other way around, I might not have taken Frisco. But with Mahomes, absolutely. So I had them at plus 110, plus 105, plus 100, and plus 325. And the teaser with the under, you missed that one, I think. No, that was good. That's the way to play it, Bobby Bo. Well, I'm happy for you there. Yeah, I mean, I'm 13-1 in the playoffs. I'm happy as hell. Just another average playoff picks for the professor. I think I was like that. There's a couple of years I've been undefeated in the playoffs. Nick can tell you about those, but now that I've added the over-unders and really got fine-tuned in them, it's hard for me to lose because if I don't like the game, I can easily go to over-under. In this case, KC and the points was a joke the last 3 KC games. You should have made a fortune, especially against Baltimore. You should have had really good odds getting points against Lamar. I mean, what a joke that is. The only sad thing is that football is all over. Yeah, that's always depressing. You know, they kind of you're into it, and the playoffs start, and it's Saturday, Sunday, okay, and then the championship games are just Sunday, and you lose the Saturday, and then the Super Bowl, and now there's nothing. I guess they'll get ready for the draft, and that's kind of what I was just talking about. So when you look at Kansas City three-peating, which I would highly recommend getting a bet in on that, you probably get really good odds, KC three-peating. The only team that can beat KC is Cincinnati because the only quarterback that can stop Mahomes is Joe Burrow. That's it. That's what I've been going through is the quarterbacks. He's the only one. We saw Lamar has no chance. Josh Allen, very little chance. And Hurts, no chance. Purdy, you just gave him a chance. He played it pretty well. But with this team, if you couldn't win, I think Shanahan is the biggest choke I've ever seen. He's a terrible coach, way out coached. Not that Andy Reid's a good coach. It's just Mahomes is a good coach, right? Mahomes will beat you. And until you figure out, I think his biggest mistake was putting Bosa on that side instead of the other side because Bosa's trying to contain him. So he's not coming after him to sack him. That, I think, was the biggest mistake that they made on defense. You could have had the other defensive end come in or one of the linebackers and let them blitz and force him out. But on the back end, Bosa comes and gets all the sacks because they couldn't stop Bosa. So I thought that was a big mistake, putting Bosa, and then he was kind of flushing him out but not letting him run up. And I thought, no, I want Bosa attacking him. The only way to beat Mahomes is sacking him, right? Otherwise, he's going to find people open. And even the running of it. And again, on fourth down. And can you explain why Tony Romo is the analyst at all? What a fucking idiot that guy is. I've talked about it just before, but it's basically he wanted San Francisco to go for it on fourth down and overtime because Mahomes might get the ball and score a touchdown. Yeah, but if they don't make it, again, there's the part B of going for it. They don't make it, they lose for sure because he'll kick a field goal. You've made it much easier here. You know, he had to try for a touchdown. And then what a beautiful play call to do it. But Romo is just an idiot. And why he's doing games, I don't know. But that's, you know, and then the refs, that one holding call in Kansas City was a joke. He didn't hold him. He stuck his arm out and the guy went into his arm. That's not holding. He didn't hold him. He stuck his arm out. And the ball didn't go anywhere near him. That's my problem with these. If the guy can't, I think there was one they could have called when the KC guy kind of was all over him. And that's one thing. But when the ball isn't close, don't start calling defensive interference or holding, giving them a 3rd and 17 for a first down. That I think should never be. You can't give them a first down because of that bullshit call. And then Gene Steratore comes in. Yes, it was defensive interference. And Tony Romo, oh, yes, it was. All of a sudden, everybody agrees with the refs. Like, kind of crap is that? And then you notice how they spot the ball wrong. They spot the ball where the knee hits, not where the ball is when the knee hits, right? I mentioned that. So, like, Kelsey had a first down. The ball's over the line, but his knee hits before. But the where the knee hit the ball was over. These refs can't. They've blown at least 10 calls where the knee's down, where they call the knee, not the ball. Just pathetic. Anyway, so basically, I can see Bo Nix giving Mahomes problems, and I can see Daniels from LSU giving Mahomes problems. Otherwise, there's nobody that can beat him but Joe Burrow. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, if he plays with that defense on the Jets, they could beat him. But otherwise, we've seen Lamar, not even close. We see Josh Allen, can't beat him. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, if he can stay healthy. Brady did beat him. So you need a Brady type, and then that would be Bo Nix or Daniels, and maybe Hartman on the right team. Like if Denver gets a Hartman or not even a Caleb, but a Hartman or a Penix or somebody like that, or Bo Nix with their defense, you need a team, right? And the Niners, I don't knock Purdy. I think Purdy was okay. He looked very clutch. He made a lot of good passes. But he couldn't beat him, but I think he could. But with that team, I can't, that's you got to blame Shanahan for just not being a good coach. I mean, I'm sorry. You got so much talent that you don't need a coach, right? Just go out there and play. And they lost Greenlaw. That hurt them a little bit, but you got to be kidding me. If San Francisco can't beat that team, I don't know who can beat them, except Cincinnati, because Burrow and Chase, they can't handle. And we got to get rid of Tony Romo. All right. What else? So I think Hartman, would be an excellent fit. I think these teams, Kirk Cousins, Fields, what are you going to do with these guys? Fields stinks. I'll tell you, C.J. Stroud stinks, because if everybody does what Frisco did, where they kind of bring in the end and then he flushes them out and he goes with them, C.J. Stroud's done, because 99% of his rolls to the right and then hopes somebody's going. But then, oh, yeah, he didn't show up against Baltimore in the playoffs. And that's my point. He looks good against Jacksonville, big fucking deal, or Tennessee or Indy. But when he gets in against a good team, he doesn't show up. So what's the point? This is where I argue, because I understand the winner and the loser. You want winners. There's only Mahomes and Burrow who are winners. Maybe Rodgers if he stays healthy. I think Bo Nix, and I think Daniels. Daniels beat Alabama. I would like to see Hooker start for the Lions. He put up 50 on Alabama. What do you think? That's an accident? See, this is what I don't get. Why did you draft him? And then if you drafted him, why aren't you playing him? We've seen Goff choke so bad that the Rams got rid of him. And then he gets in here and he chokes against the Niners. He's got him 24-7, doesn't show up in the second half, turns the ball over, and then you're looking at the couple of turnovers against Dallas. So in the big games, he doesn't beat anybody. And you've got your quarterback and Hooker, but you won't play him because Goff's such a good quarterback. Are we watching different games when Goff's out there? So you can't forget Hooker put up 50 on Alabama, which for some reason you're forgetting. And that's why you look at it. Stenson Benson, Nick was telling us he's got an alcoholic problem or something. So what? What did he do at Georgia? Was he an alcoholic for winning 2 national championships? They can fix that. Let him play. I mean, I don't know if that's real or not. I think Stafford's a baby and doesn't want competition. But anyway, you've got guys. Hayner will light you up at New Orleans. Get rid of Carr. See, they're scared to go to the new guy because they haven't seen him. So they go to guys like Blaine Gabbert, who they've seen. He's at least played in the league, and they're scared to play a hooker because they ignore the fact he put up 50 on Alabama, or Daniels put up, what did he put up? 50 on Alabama when they played him 2 years ago. And last year he had 28 till they cheap shotted him. And then he put up 30 or 40 against Georgia. Well, I think he got hurt in the game. But Daniels, clearly, you can't stop him. So Daniels needs to go to a team like Pittsburgh or Denver, somebody with a good defense. Then they can challenge Mahomes. Otherwise, he goes to, a shit team like Indy or Jacksonville or one of those. He doesn't have a chance. Or Tennessee, forget about it. And the problem is, what will Tennessee do with Will Levis? They're happy with him. Okay, even Indy, and Carolina. You happy with Steve Young? Would you rather have Jalen Daniels or Steve Young? I'd have Daniels. I would just cut Steve Young. I wouldn't even trade him. Who'd want him? But Carolina, oh no, we got Steve Young, and they're gonna die and pick first for the next 5 years with him and waste 5 years. Okay, we'll bet against him every week like we did this year. So that's where you're at. You've got to have people that can identify, and they can't. These people cannot identify quarterbacks. They think it's a too deep zone. We're going to get running quarterbacks because they can run on it, which works until you get about to the 30. The field shrinks, and all of a sudden the two deeps aren't going back too far. And that's why these running quarterbacks don't do shit, because there's no room to run. You need a running back. You need McCafferty, and you need Pacheco, and you need Emmitt Smith, and you need Barry Sanders. That's what you need. You're not going to win with Lamar running. How did that work against KC? Oh yeah, they got 10 points. Now KC, I give them credit for switching to a very good defensive team. See, that's the thing. They didn't get receivers, and you're wondering, well, why not? No wonder Mahomes doesn't have anybody to throw to. He just has Kelsey. And then Rice got better, and Pacheco started running, but the defense kept them in games. And all of a sudden, they're a very good defensive team, but you keep waiting for the long, high-scoring games, which you're not going to get. So anyway, keep an eye on the draft. That's probably in a month. I don't know. It's in Detroit. Why would anybody go to it? Why would you go to it? What am I going to go to it for? What is it I'm going to see? I can't just turn on Yahoo Sports and go draft, and they're going to go, oh, this is who they drafted? What do I got to be there for? There's nothing going on there. I'd rather be at MGM playing poker than there. But anyway, that's what you got to do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see these stupid trades, and we'll keep you up to date when we hear the trades. Most of them will be stupid. Minnesota, you have Jefferson. Don't forget that. They need a running. Well, I think they had a running back, but not Madison. The other running back was really good. So you need another. Well, you got Hockenson as your tight end, got hurt. Is he going to come back? And you need some defense, and then you need a good quarterback. So we'll see with them. They need a coach. A lot of these teams need a coach. Again, San Francisco's defensive coordinator didn't show up, outclassed, outmanned, didn't show up against the Lions, didn't show up against Green Bay, is over his head. You can't keep getting rid of your defensive coordinators and think nothing's going to happen. You've got to have the plan. The Bill Walsh, here's the defense we're going to run. Now I'm going to go hire a coordinator to run that defense. That was so successful. We'll see Harbaugh at San Diego with Justin Herbert, and Eckler, and Kelly, and Keenan Allen, and the other Bosa who never plays, and Khalil Mack and James. I mean, how are they only winning 5 games? Oh yeah, the coach kept going for 4th downs. See, when you do that, you lose the team, which is what he did. He actually lost the team. They didn't want to play for him, and they didn't show up. And then Herbert got hurt. So I look for San Diego to be very good next year. Denver, I don't know. You're getting rid of Russell Wilson. What the fuck are you doing? They need to get better defensively, although they were pretty good. And they need a running game. And this is what it shows you now. You have to go back to balance. You have to have not a running quarterback. You need a Mahomes, even a Purdy. And then you need the running back, the McCaffrey and the Pacheco, and let them do the running. And then you've got the quarterback who's hitting, because he comes to the line of scrimmage. You got to keep the defense guessing. You can't have the defense know, well, I got Lamar. Okay, we'll put a spy on him and play our regular, watch him throw the ball defense. I mean, that's not going to fool the defense. So that's why Lamar is no good. You need a running back. And the same thing with Josh Allen. You need a running back. They got a little bit better this year, but now they need defense. Von Miller's too old. I'm sorry to say that. But look at KC, very strong defense. So it's always about defense. When did he get on the radio when Detroit says offenses win championship games? Fucking idiot. No, you need the defense. You got the defense, then have a balanced offense, run the fucking ball, and then you can win. And as you can see, KC, great balance. Pacheco, even Mahomes ran when he needed. And, he hit Kelsey a little. At least it wasn't too much Taylor Swift. I didn't see the post game, so I don't know if she started singing a song or not, but why do we need to see her? Please, anybody? So anyway, that's where we're at. So best running back available is my guy from Oak State, Ollie Gordon, should be the first running back taken. Somebody said he's not in the draft. Well, I don't believe that till I see it. Why would he come back? He's a running back. But there's some good running backs. But it's crucial to have balance. The defense can't know what you're doing, and you expect it to work. Look at the last play of the game. KC with a beautiful the guy was wide open by 10 yards. There's nobody around him. That's a beautiful play call. But you got to have running backs. You got to have the defense guessing. What are you doing? It was first and goal at the 3. They could have ran the ball in, so the defense had to be honest for that. If you don't have if you have Lamar and you don't have running, that play will never work. Anyway, a very good game. We'll keep an eye on, but you need running. If you don't have running backs, you're not going anywhere. Hence McCaffrey and Pacheco, and they're in the Super Bowl. So anyway, that's what we've got. So you get away from the running quarterback. It doesn't work, and it will never work. It's a stupid thing. Again, it's because of the 2 deep safeties. But as you get to the 30-yard line, the 2 deep safeties are not deep anymore because there's no room. So they're, that ends that real quickly. So good game. We hit it. We got KC +8. Easy, and under. Easy. Under 54. 19-19. Again, the kicker, this Michigan kicker's what a choke he is. He's missed 4 or 5 kicks the last 4 or 5 weeks. I know he missed one against the Lions, and then this one here, and the one before, and the one against Cleveland that cost us that game. He's a joke. I would let him go. I can't believe you wasted a draft pick on this guy. He was good at Michigan, but he can't handle the pressure of the NFL, or I guess the grass, or whatever it is that he can't handle, but he can't handle it. Couldn't handle an extra point in a Super Bowl. You miss that because you kick it low into the defense chest. Are you kidding me? So very good game. Very much enjoyed it. And had KC, and I never worried. 10-0, I never worried. Then it went 10-3 and then 10-6. At 10-6, I felt pretty comfortable. And then as soon as I grabbed the lead, I knew it was over. And the way it was going, I got the turnovers in the red zone, which helped the under. That's what you're looking for in the under, is the turnover at the McCafferty fumble and Pacheco fumble at the 10-yard lines are perfect for the under because they're not scoring and the other team's got a long way to go. So we will watch the draft. Let's see who's stupid enough to pick up Fields and Cousins. And again, if I'm the Lions, I'm trading Goff and playing Hooker. Or I'm trading Hooker. There's no reason for Hooker to sit on your. Anybody puts 50 up on Alabama, you got to play the guy. And then everybody's making how good Alabama's defense is. Well, the guy put up 50 fucking points on him. And you're just ignoring him like he's part of the furniture. We have Goff. Yeah, the biggest choker in the world we've got. And look, another playoff game he choked in. Oh, okay. You got him 24/7. Put him away, buddy. Doesn't show up in the second half. Next thing you know, you lose, and you'll never get back to the championship game. All right. Anything else on football that anybody wants to talk about, let me know. I'm going to go to a little economics, but I'm very open to that. So I was looking at the future of gold, but these are all gold miners, like stocks. So here's my rebuttal to what they are talking about. Why do they talk about paper gold? Why do they sell their gold to China at paper prices? They made a comment inflation's 3%. There won't be a rate cut. They thought that. And ETFs are a scam. No one should buy into it. You guys are clueless. And I got a Bobby in there shake my head. Now, why do I say that? Because if you listen to these morons.
Narrative around the gold sector, I tend to think the narrative will change when the macro changes. Like people will, they'll buy the asset that makes the most sense. And quite frankly, I've met probably 20 kids at this show today that are under the age of 18. And they're here because they know that things aren't making sense. And they're curious about hard assets for that reason, right?
They're looking for the Bitcoin show and they got lost. Yeah.
They took a left. Yeah. They should have taken a right. Yeah, maybe. What's your take, David, on the utility of the everyday retail investor? What is the case for gold in the portfolio? And what might you think about in terms of breakdown from owning some physical, how much and why, looking for exposure to the equities which give you that torque, how much, why, and how?
Look, I do think gold still has relevance in society. It's the one currency you can go to any corner of the world and people understand
currency,
the intrinsic
money,
value.
moron.
They certainly don't understand the intrinsic value of paper currency or cryptocurrency. If you go to the deepest, darkest jungles of Papua New Guinea, for example, gold is recognized as having deep intrinsic value and has for thousands of years. And I think younger investors understand intuitively that their fiat currencies are being undermined. That's why cryptos captured their imagination. Plus, you can buy it on a smartphone. There's a digital token that is very easy. And listen, I have 8 kids, and they're all on their phones all the time. That's their world is in their phone. So cryptos capture their imagination for that very reason. But gold can do so as well, and still is recognized for its intrinsic value. So I do think it is relevant. I think it's very, very important, and it's a means of trade. It has utility. It has value. And it provides a rational way to trade goods and services, and more than any other currency, and for longer than any other currency.
Money, not currency.
That's why I think it's still relevant. As to where you get torque, I'm concerned about the producer universe. I came into the gold business in 1998 after having spent about a decade in base metals. And I joined.
So these guys don't even understand, right? They don't understand the inflation. They think it's 3%. They don't understand that the dollar's going out and you're going to need gold. They don't understand ETFs are not physical gold. One guy talks about they buy derivatives. Nobody buys derivatives. It's what JP Morgan does to lower the price. Nobody's buying the derivative. Nobody's supposed to buy the ETF and nobody's supposed to buy the gold stock. You're supposed to buy the physical. But when you buy the physical, and this is what I'm really taking heat with the alligator, he sees, well, there's only 1% of people with gold in their portfolios. What's a portfolio? Oh, it's all the stocks you own and your house and your assets. Is my physical gold in my portfolio? No, you're not seeing that because I'm not showing it to you. So you don't see my portfolio having, all this gold and silver. So his whole problem is they don't see it in your portfolio. The other thing is ETFs. You don't want to be in ETFs because it's not physical. You only want to be in physical because you have the gold and you're not going to get fucked. These guys are clueless. Now, these guys run mines and stuff. And that's why I put in the comments, you idiots, why are you taking the paper price? They're the problem. If they would just physical price their mines at physical and get a physical price, the gold would go up. But because they keep selling their mine at paper prices at the derivatives, they're part of the problem. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. So it's very frustrating because these are these gold miner type of people who are just fucking clueless.
And it's interesting, the producer universe looks pretty much as it did back then. Barrick and Newmont were at 5-6 million ounces of production in 1998, and that was suboptimal, and they couldn't sustain it. Here we are 25 years later, 26 years later. They're still at 5-6 million ounces. They can't sustain it. The only thing that's changed is their share count's gone up exponentially. Their production hasn't. So all the industry's been able to do is basically cannibalize itself. So where are you going to get torque? It's no accident that after building mines most of my career, I'm running a royalty vehicle. I do believe in the bull case for gold, but I am concerned about inflation. I'm concerned about shrinking reserves. I'm concerned about execution risk. In a world where we don't have enough talent to build the mines that we need to build, both in the base and precious metal universe. So I want that top line exposure, but I don't want to be worried about execution risk. I don't want to be worried about capital cost risk and inherent inflation in that. I don't want to have to worry about managing 20,000 employees anymore because it's tough to replace them. So you're going to get your best torque, I think, in the royalty vehicles, frankly.
I want to pull on that thread because I've been asked today probably a half dozen times on the show floor by investors about the royalty business specifically. So yes, you came from the production side, right? You came back to the game. Now you run Gold Royalty Company. So first of all, you didn't have to go back to work. You decided, right? You obviously got inspired by this project. But if you could spend another minute on why, when you decided to come back to the game, you decided to go royalty instead of production, which had worked so well for you in the past.
Yeah, because you know what, as I said, the juniors have not had access to capital for a dozen years. And in the biggest vehicles I ran and was involved with, we never did our own grassroots exploration. We effectively outsourced it to the juniors. Well, when the juniors don't have access to capital, what you have is a shrinking pie to deal with. So you have declining reserves, declining production profiles, and all you can do is basically take over other companies, which is a zero-sum game in the best of times. There are no synergies in our business. That's a fallacy. There are some examples, in Nevada when Barrick and Newmont joint ventured their projects. That was a real synergy event, but there are very few of those. There are very few of those that are available in the sector right now. So I don't think M&A is going to add value. And I think diversification within an operating company is very, very difficult to achieve. There's a limit to what you can do. I ran a dozen operations with 20,000 employees. I was actually looking to shed assets. It was too many operations and employees to manage practically. There's no limit to the diversification you can achieve in a royalty company. We have 250 royalties. We could have 2,500 royalties. I wouldn't have to add another employee.
Now, Evie, you've been an advocate from the investor side for royalty companies ever since I met you. So can you walk my audience through that angle? What is the appeal if you're the capital allocator, the retail investor, about the royalty business?
Well, I don't want to put a wet blanket on it, but there's theory and then there's reality. I mean, the theory is that, Pierre, the guys came in and did this $2 million deal, Gold Strike, and you pulled $1 billion out of there, over 30 years or something like that. That's the theory, is that you get this perpetual non-dilutive carried interest in an asset with no capital invested over time. And all that is very true. I think the opportunity right now with the realty business,
Guys are
2 years
idiots.
ago that interest rates would be above 5% in an environment where inflation numbers are coming down. So we're actually
No, they're
seeing
not.
exploding real interest rates. I would have said price of gold would probably have to trade at 15 or 1600. We're trading at above 2000. So the big question is why. And I think one of the main reasons is actually, I know in our sphere we would like to criticize central banks, but actually central bank physical buying bailed out the gold space. So 2022.
See, this is where I throw up. Okay. Why is gold at 2000? Because it's being price fixed by JP Morgan on the derivatives to keep the price down. He doesn't even understand that. These are gold experts. Oh my fucking Christ. This is unbelievable. He thinks it should be 50. And why is it 2000? It's got nothing to do with the central banks buying. It's got everything to do with JP Morgan keeping the derivatives to lower the price. The price should be 5,000, 10,000 in a physical world. Why aren't these idiots trying to get a physical gold price? Do they not even understand JP Morgan? And with higher interest rates, why would gold be lower? Gold's got nothing to do with interest rates. Gold's an asset like Rolex, like Mahomes. If there's demand for it, if you're inflating the dollar, and don't tell me inflation's coming down, how the fuck can it? If you've printed $20 trillion, tell me how the inflation's coming down, please. Did you stop printing? No. You've got a $35 trillion debt, which you have to print $1 trillion a quarter to pay the interest. So where's inflation going down? These guys, again, they're not economists. This is the key. They're not economists. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand paper versus physical gold. How the fuck can they not understand paper versus physical? They don't understand what there's one. Everybody owns derivatives. They own derivatives. What, are you kidding me? Nobody owns derivatives. Nobody owns options. I mean, people do, but the key is to buy physical. This is what we're dealing with. Morons selling their gold at the paper prices and not even understanding that's what they're doing. It's so frustrating. These are gold experts. Okay. What the fuck am I then? Like the gold god?
So basically an all-time high in central bank buying, more than 1,100 tons. 2023 will be above 1,000 tons as well. It's obviously not coming from the Western world. It's coming from China, from India, from Turkey, but even Singapore, within Europe, Hungary, Czech Republic, Poland are buying. So there is something happening. And my take is, I don't know how much you're into the world of professional wrestling, but in wrestling, there's a term of a heel turn.
He's talking wrestling.
So if the bad guy becomes the good guy, and The Rock, he used to be in wrestling. He used to be the bad guy, and then he was so popular, everybody loved him.
He smelled what he was
became
cooking.
the good guy, and we're seeing something similar in the world of reserve assets. So back in the days, in the 1970s, 1980s, actually gold was between 75 and 80% of all central bank reserves. Then we saw the great moderation. Now we're trading at roughly 20%. Could we go back to 40%? I think so. So I think that gold is really coming back as a neutral monetary reserve. This is driven by emerging markets. I've been to Dubai speaking at a conference there. I can tell you what's going on in the United Arab Emirates, in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia is staggering. The infrastructure for gold trading, the long-term view that they have when it comes to gold, the openness when it comes to discussing a new monetary system, it's really staggering. So,
what an idiot. The central banks are getting out of US dollars because they're collapsing. Well, The Rock, so the guy could smell what The Rock was cooking. Laugh out loud. Yeah, heel turn is when a guy turns from good guy to bad guy. Well, he was close. He had bad guy to good guy, but he did know The Rock. So this guy's an idiot because central banks are buying it to get out of US dollars. He doesn't understand de-dollarization. He doesn't understand that. They're buying a lot more than 1,000 tons. Are you kidding me? Every central bank is buying to get out of dollars and into gold. What is this guy talking about? Oh my God. I think I saw him on an Egon show and I just said, this guy's a fucking idiot. Again, inflation is 20%, not 3. Anybody that says that, I immediately turn off and, I then stoic them, right? Like, you're too stupid to listen to. These guys are fucking idiots. And yet they're running gold mines. They're talking about the gold stocks. Yeah, I don't know why the stocks are down. Because nobody wants stocks. Why are ETFs down? Because nobody wants ETFs. You want physical. You don't want to be in an ETF. What? So you can get fucked when you want to get the physical? ETFs are not where you go. You buy the physical. And the biggest problem is nobody knows that me and you and Luke have gold and silver. Nobody knows it. So how do you say my portfolio, this is the problem I have with the alligator. I'm going to show you alligator. He doesn't know. He's going only 1% in portfolios. Alligator, it's a lot more than 1%, but you aren't going to see my gold and Bobby's gold and Luke's gold in our portfolios because it doesn't go in the portfolio. It goes under our beds and in our safes. You don't see it in my portfolio. My portfolio you wouldn't even see because I don't have any stocks. I need to watch more stoic videos. Yeah, I'll give you a bunch. All right, a little bit more of this moron.
Going forward, I would say, the central banks will continue to buy, but at some point we will need investors really coming in. ETF demand down 255 tons last year. I talked to a couple of mints and big gold dealers. Their turnover last year for physical gold minus 70%. So we're seeing a huge divergence.
What is this guy talking about? They can't even, my coin guy he can't even get any more. ETFs. Who would be in ETFs? This guy doesn't understand what an ETF is. Nobody should be in an ETF. It's a Ponzi scheme. You get fucked in an ETF. It's not physical gold. So this guy doesn't even know what an ETF is. Electric transfer fund or something. It's like owning stock. You don't actually own the gold. And in an ETF, you don't actually own the gold. Why would you be an ETF? So for ETFs to be down is a good thing. And people buying gold, I don't know what he's talking about. The gold's down 70%. What is he talking about? Guy's out of his fucking mind. So anyway, it's hard to listen to idiots, right? But let's see. I really want to be stoic moving forward. I think it will be very beneficial. Well, I think you've always been stoic, but you didn't know you were like, we're INFJs, but we didn't know it. And now that I see what an INFJ is, I go, oh, I've been an INFJ. I've always been stoic. I've never really let people tell me what to do. Like, I don't smoke because people smoke because it was cool, which means they're weak and they do things to look cool without being cool, right? I'm cool and I don't smoke and I don't smoke to be cool. That's stoic. And I've been like that my whole life, but now I can label it. Oh, I'm stoic. Things like that. We need metals to wake up. Gold is down and silver. Forget it, Bobby. That's paper. We don't care. Bitcoin hit 50,000 today. Well, because people don't know what to do with their money. As this guy said, don't worry about Bitcoin. It'll go out because it's priced in dollars. So really the whole thing is when the Titanic sinks, Bitcoin goes to zero because it's priced in dollars. So what's happening is people are getting out of the banks, right? They have all their money in the savings and they're realizing they got to get out. But they don't realize is they got to get out of money. So they get into Bitcoin and they get into what, bonds or stock. So all that goes up as people leave the bank, but you don't see that part of the equation. You don't see when people buy gold because it doesn't correlate. If I went and bought 20 ounces and you went and bought 20 ounces and Luke bought 20 ounces, the price wouldn't go up because we're not registered for the demand. It's based on the derivatives. So if they did derivatives with Bitcoin, it wouldn't be that high. So you're getting, put it this way, it's like in baseball, they're stealing the signs, right? So you're the catcher puts out a curveball, but you see the sign, and then they wonder why they're hitting the curveball. Well, because the curveball is coming. And in this case, we know gold, it's got to get out of paper, right? And that's really what's holding it down. So don't even look at these prices; they're not real. They're paper COMEX derivatives, which is blowing up. And this guy with the central banks, they're buying 1,000 tons here and 1,000 tons here. They're buying a hell of a lot more, and it's a lot of central banks. And the demand for physical gold, where are you getting that from? We don't go to the mine to buy it. The demand for physical gold's through the roof. What's this guy talking about? There's huge demand. All the central banks are buying as much as they can. And Russia or China. Does he not have Russia and China in his calculation? What the fuck is he talking about? So this guy's very frustrating. So I'm going to go to Alligator. If I can find Alligator.
Stood a chance against someone who knows when that really starts happening. And they are now really the dominant players on the long side. Now, interestingly, unlike the hedge funds who, are very, very speculative and will move, whether they're following trends or whether they're following spreads of some sort or whatever, the other reported don't take that view at all, and you will have noticed that there has been standing for delivery in that contract to a greater and greater extent. An awful lot of gold gets actually delivered over time through those contracts maturing, and that it is the other reporters that are doing that. So a lot of the players in there effectively have bought contracts in order to sit on them until they expire, when they will take delivery. This is not what the market was originally set up to do. And from the point of view of the swaps, which is really dominated by the bullion bank trading desks, this is really quite difficult because, they can't actually sort of, hit the price in a quiet moment and just shake out some stops for a profitable close. So what do they do? Well, the answer basically, I think, is in the very, very short term, it probably makes the paper market more volatile. I would not be surprised. If we get, say, a slightly more cautious approach from the Fed on interest rates tonight, what we could see perhaps is an opportunity to hit gold back under the $2,000 level. And I would expect in that case, it might bottom out around about the 1950, 1960 area, which is roughly where the 200-day moving average is. So that would be, if you like, a normal technical reaction. Though, for for the perennial gold bugs, they will scream blue murder, but they always do. But other than that, we have to look at the fundamentals, and the fundamentals. We're not talking about fundamentals for gold, other than what the central banks are doing. The central banks basically are trying to get out of paper currency. That's why they're accumulating gold. The central banks are trying to get out of paper currency, which is why they're buying gold. And it's paper currency that we've got to look at. Paper currency is losing its purchasing power. I mean, we've already spoken about the position of the dollar, where you've got a debt trap. Just look at what's happening to the U.S. Treasury debt, the debt mountain.
He's Gatoring.
And rising interest rates. What's that going to do to it? You can see that, I reckon, by the time the new ceiling is fixed, which is due to be done on January the 1st, 2025, we could be looking at total debt outstanding in the region of about 40 trillion. I mean, it's, I kid you not, just look at how this is going. And that's the sort of number we're talking about. So, the US government is in a debt trap. And we've also got a banking crisis, which is underneath the surface most of the time, but occasionally it just bubbles up a little bit, as we've seen with New York Community Bank Corp. The economy itself, if you allow for the fact that roughly in this fiscal year, roughly 3 trillion of excess currency is being produced by the government, which is going almost all into the GDP, then that's inflating the GDP nominal number hugely. So, if you're going to end up with, say, GDP rising, and nominal GDP rising by something like 4% or something like that, actually, what you're saying is that the private sector GDP is contracting. And if you look at what's going on around you, the small and medium-sized businesses, which make up actually the majority of GDP, then you can see that, that's actually what's going on in the country. I mean, this, my friends in America tell me they see this. I see this in the UK. My friends in Europe see it as well. This is everywhere. We are actually in a slump, and it's only being concealed by the printing of currency credit. And sooner or later, that is going to drive up interest rates again. So really, when it comes to for gold, we are seeing it's not so much gold at the moment. There's no interest in gold, as I said earlier. And also, if you look at the interest in gold, I mean, what are the ETFs doing? They're still being liquidated. The public are still selling ETFs.
Yeah, to buy physical, you moron.
This is not a gold bull market. It's a bear market for currencies. But the one thing I would say is that portfolios are so underweight in gold and gold-related investments. We've got roughly $150 trillion worth of portfolios around the world. Everything from wealth funds to mutual funds to, pension funds, insurance funds, the whole caboodle, about 150 trillion. The investment in that, in terms of gold and gold-related investments, is less than 1%.
Okay, hold on. See, this is where he misses everything. First of all, what do we say? Get out of ETFs because there's no physical gold. You want to be in physical gold. So, of course, ETFs should be dropping. But what you don't see is when me and Bobby and Luke go buy gold and silver, right? Where's that being shown? It isn't. That's what he's missing. Also, in my portfolio, it's 99% gold and silver. But I'm not in a mutual fund or a pension fund or any of that shit. And as people liquidate to buy gold and silver, as we do, you don't see it. So he's fucking clueless when it comes to missing the boat of people buying gold, because what does he and Egon and Mark McGuire say? How much physical do you own? So you get out of ETFs, you get out of stocks, you buy physical, and then the guy says, well, nobody's in gold. Well, because you can't count the physical that we're buying. That's why ETFs are down, because what do? Scream about getting out of them because it's not physical. It's a Madoff scheme, right? It's a Madoff scheme. The ETFs are not real gold. They're paper. Get the fuck out of them. So everybody gets out of them, and then they go, well, look, the ETFs are down. Well, of course they're down. Nobody wants to be in them. They're a Ponzi scheme. Oh, my God. Alligator. Like, what the fuck? But he doesn't know that we're all buying physical, and it doesn't show up anywhere. And he thinks nobody's buying it. All right, poor alligator.
When I tell you that in the past, before all the propaganda about how gold is a pet rock and forget it, and the dollar is the new money, and so on and so forth, we were looking at having a sensible portfolio exposure to gold, which is really like an insurance policy against all the other things you've got in your portfolio going wrong, of somewhere between 5, 10, maybe even 15% if you're really worried. We have less than 1%.
We don't.
Now, the point about that is that if that was to adjust by 1% upwards to less than 2%, that is the equivalent of portfolio purchases of over 23,000 tons of gold. Now, the reason I say that is to just emphasize how illiquid the market is. Where does this come from? When you get a swing out of these wonderful tech stocks, which have been carrying everybody's portfolio.
Again, they're price fixed. The tech stocks are what the Microsoft and the Amazon and Apple are priced. They print the money and they put them into those stocks. It's not free market. He doesn't get that. This is why I think he's a Keynesian, or he's just stupid. I don't know. He's not an Austrian. And then if we own our coins, right, Bobby? We got coins. Where are you picking them up? You don't even know we have them. We don't want you to know we have them. But yet I go into my gold store. He only gets what people, he doesn't even get them he can't even get them right from the mint. What the fuck are these guys talking about? The only thing I get is when somebody sells some and then I get it. Oh, when I show you the gold on my pictures, this is what he's got from people bringing it in. Because there is no more, he can't get the silver buffaloes and he can't get the gold. These guys are so close. See, when you're stoic, you dig in and find the answers. And when you're not stoic, you just take it for face value and you go, oh, the portfolio, if it went up how could it possibly go up 1%? Right? It'll go up 23,000 tons or whatever you just said. How? Who's going to what? You're not going to buy stock and you're not going to buy ETFs. How are you going to see the gold go up if everybody's buying coins? Where are you going to see that, alligator? And he's missing the most basic thing. Get out of ETFs, get out of stocks, buy physical, but yet there's no way to show people buying physical, and he doesn't think anybody's buying them. Oh, the demand for gold's down. Bullshit, the demand for gold's down. You just don't see people going to the coin store or going to SD Bullion buying it, and you don't see, of course everybody's liquidating ETFs. Why would you hold one? So when we say get out of ETFs and you tell your friends and everybody, and we liquidate the ETFs because we don't want to be in them because they're not real, they're made off. So of course they're going to go down. What the fuck are you guys looking at? I mean, it's just pathetic. Yes, alligator is starting to turn. Yeah, we can start calling him crocodile. Luke's been in class. I think he works. So if I'm on late, he does pop in. I'm pretty sure he watches it like you do. Like if he's not there now, will pop in. But yeah, he's still around. Luke's still around. I haven't seen Greg or John today. And then a couple of the football guys who wanted my things. I told the guy there wouldn't be a score for the first 6 minutes, and I got that one right, and one interception. I got that one right. I don't remember the other things. All right, a few more minutes of alligator.
To the moon. When you get interest rates obviously not going to come down as people expect, when you get a bear market developing in your normal sort of pharmaceuticals, tech stocks, industrials, and so on and so forth, when that really starts happening and people start thinking we're underweight in gold, you just see the effect on the mine's share prices, which are right down at the bottom. They really are. Look at the effect on gold itself. You know, when people start going into ETFs or however they invest their portfolios into gold, there is no gold there for them because the central banks have been basically cleaning out the refiners. I mean, there is no big liquidity in the market at all. And as I say, a 1% swing under those portfolio conditions, which is peanuts compared with what's likely to happen, is the equivalent of the purchase of 23,000 tons of gold. I think that's the most important thing to understand. And it won't be just a question then of the dollar going down rather than gold going up. It will be both dollar going down and gold going up. I think you could see the gold price by the end of this year moving very, very sharply upwards.
Well, Alistair, you've certainly given us a lot.
You like that, Bobby? By the end of the year, going up very, very high upwards. So basically, people don't know what they're doing because they're all morons, basically, except for our class. And so they might think their money is not safe in the bank. They are told inflation is 3%, so they're not really worried about their money being zero, which they should be. They're not really understanding the debt, which they should. The inflation is 20%, but they'll think it's 3%. So they move their money. So follow me here. They've got their money in the bank. They're maybe a little worried. Maybe they're in CDs or bonds. They move their money into the stocks. There's only 5 stocks going up. Apple and Amazon and Microsoft. So those stocks, so that's where everybody goes into those stocks. So when they collapse, everybody will lose their ass. Stock market's going to collapse when the foreigners realize the dollar's collapsing because everybody's de-dollarizing, which why aren't they talking about that? So when the dollar goes out, your bank's gone, your money's gone, right? When the dollar goes to zero, then where's your money? So yeah, you're showing me 50,000 in Bitcoin. When the dollar goes out, what's the Bitcoin worth? Because it's priced in dollars. Same as your house. It's priced in dollars. It goes to zero because the dollar's going out because nobody's staying in it. So everybody thinks that, the Roman Empire is not going away and the dollar's not going away. So, I mean, that's your biggest problem. When the dollar goes out, it's when you're going to be happy you're in gold and silver. That's why this is just bullshit. Watching these COMEX prices go because their derivatives are holding it down, which is what the other 4 idiots don't understand on their end, the de-dollarization, and they're mostly miners who don't even understand paper gold versus physical gold. The only thing they got right is they said, well, the Ottomans defeated Rome because basically Rome inflated and then all the gold went to the Ottoman Empire. And that's why they defeated the Romans because they had all the gold. And he who has the gold make the rules. Everybody knows this. So that was the biggest thing. So gold price will be high this year. Forget COMEX. It's paper. It'll be blown up. Putin didn't mention gold. Believe me, he didn't want to. Putin said 3% inflation. Well, they are printing a lot of money, but they ship it out. Well, it's still printed. You can't ignore the printing, and that's the other thing. There's 130 trillion outside, according to Mark McGuire, that once people realize the dollar's got no value, will flood back in. So you might be able to hide it other places, I guess. That one I'm not. That's a new one for me. That the that you can print money, but if you keep it out of the country, it doesn't count. What does that mean? I can't even comprehend that. So this is the thing. So at least we get out of it is there'll be a much higher gold price by the end of the year, which is what we're waiting for. I notice how it keeps getting pushed back because, so keep this in mind, the government, meaning JP Morgan and the idiots at the Fed and the Janet Yellens, don't want this to collapse. They want to keep it going. They're too stupid to realize, well, you can do it with gold, but we don't have any gold. So that's what we're fighting, and that's why it's taking a while, is they don't want this to go out, and they don't want you in gold. They want to keep you poor. And so that's why they keep fighting. That's what the fight's about, is keeping this in play. And then here comes Putin and Xi, China and Russia and BRICS saying we're going to come out with gold just to compete. That's bullshit. It's to destroy, but they're going to just say, you know what, we need a gold-backed currency for utilities, for oil, and a competition for the dollar. And as soon as that happens, it's all over. So that's what we're waiting for. But Bobby, think of it like this. We know they're going to play 9 innings. At the end of the 9th, the gold will be high. And we don't know what inning we're in. And you and Luke keep going, when's it going to happen? And I said, well, when the 9th inning's over. Well, what inning are we in? Well, we're not really sure. We could be in the 3rd or it could be in the 6th. But we know at the end of the game, the gold will be, way up there, as will the silver. We just don't know when the game ends. And the other team's trying to play the game and keep the dollar in there, but people are not wanting it. And anyway, the inflation is 20%. I mean, even Putin's saying 3%, and yeah, but you're excluding all the food and energy. I noticed my electric bill and my electric and my heat went up. Now, I don't know. It was very cold for a couple of weeks, so if that's why my heat's up, but I don't know why my electric's up. So we will see what's going on, but hopefully it'll be back to normal next month. And my heat hasn't really been on. It's been fairly warm. I go out like this, so it's not really been a problem. But anyway, I did want to show you Mark McGuire alligator. Here's my comment. You'll like this one, Bobby. Here's my comment to alligator. People are leaving ETFs for physical gold, which doesn't show up in portfolios. Huge demand in gold. What's alligator talking about? And then I got you in there, Bobby. Shake my head, the professor. So he's saying how, he does, people are getting ETFs, but he doesn't see where the money's going. So if I sell something, what am I buying? And this is where these people really have a hard time. People leaving ETFs, they need money. It's the inflation, and they can't comprehend it because, not being Austrian, they don't know. I understand exactly what's happening. You're printing the money to zero. So the costs are going up. So you start selling your cards, your Rolexes, your stocks, your bonds, getting your money out of the bank, even your gold. How much gold do I see at the store? I mean, look at all this gold. Yeah, must be in. There he is. Okay, so here's the gold at the gold store, right? At my gold store. He's only got 3 ounces in this other 4th ounce, whatever it is. And then he's got the 10th of an ounces, and he's got the Eagles and that. That's all the gold he's got. It's from people selling it back to him. He doesn't purchase any gold. People come in, walk into the door, sell them gold, and then I go and buy it. And why is that? Why is there any gold here? Because people selling it because they need the fucking money. They need to pay their food and their rent and stuff like that. That's the part that Alligator and these other 4 stooges are missing. Oh, nobody's buying. They're selling the gold because they need the money because of the inflation. But they all think inflation's 3%. They don't get it's 20%. So this is the problem when you're not dealing with economists. You're dealing with guys that run mines who don't understand. You're selling the fucking gold at paper prices. You need to create a physical gold exchange. Why aren't they doing that? You own a fucking mine. What are you, an idiot? So how do you know to sell it at? Well, sell it at JP Morgan's fixed paper values. Oh my God. What are you doing? So part of the problem is these 4 idiots that don't have a clue what they're doing, selling, pulling the gold out of the mine and then selling it at JP Morgan prices. And China comes and collects it. But you can see people coming and selling, because there it is. This is all gold sold to the store, right? There's your bars, there's your 10th of an ounce, and there's your ounces. And I bought the 1/4 ounce. You can see it. And where did that come from? People selling it, not because they don't like gold, but because they need money. And the guy's happy to get it. And then I come in and buy it, and they're all happy. Everybody's happy. He bought it at spot, and he sold it to me at a premium, and he's dancing. I'm dancing because I'm getting gold that's worth so much more at a cheap price. So if I buy these 3 ounces, so here's my Alligator scenario. I buy these 3 ounces, right? Does it go in my portfolio? I pay cash. Does anybody know I have it? No. Does it go in my portfolio? No. So what are you talking about, Alligator? Maybe I sold my stock as I did, and I replaced it with gold and silver, which I did, which doesn't show up. And I'm sure, I know I had a guy I worked with. He took 100 grand out of his and bought gold with it. He bought 55 ounces, and I was there. You're not seeing that. You're not seeing physical gold purchase. This is your blind spot. You're not seeing when somebody buys gold at the coin store, which I guarantee you there's a lot of people, because when I go in to this little store, I ask the guy, we talk. The owner likes talking to me because I'm an economist. I understand this shit, and he's selling it. So he comes to me, he says, "Dan, we're packed between 12 and 2. Everybody's in buying gold and silver." Then you hear Alligator, these other, nobody's buying it. And you're like, all the central banks are buying it. Then you hear Alligator say, central banks are buying it. Then you hear this other idiot, and he doesn't even know, central banks aren't buying much. Again, he's clueless as to what the reality is. And again, nowhere is it showing up. Me and Bobby and Luke just bought gold and silver because it doesn't hit our portfolio. It ain't in the bank. It's in our safes, or in Bobby's case, under his bed or under his pillow. I'm sure he sleeps with it. But you're trying to market and you can't. And then you're saying, well, there's only 1% portfolios. Yeah, because mine's not in a portfolio. It's just you just don't understand these guys. That's the problem. They're bankers. These other guys who run a mine are not economists. If they were, they would understand what's going on. So the key is understanding this. The dollar's going to zero. The de-dollarization, as they call it, I never heard of that before until now. This is going to zero. Ask the Romans if this goes to zero. Ask the Spanish, ask the French, ask the guys in Amsterdam if this goes to zero, and it does. And when it goes to zero, you've got to be in gold. Now, the fact that people are not, there's no tracking when you buy physical is the problem with all these guys. And that's what I keep trying to tell them. It's you can't track the physical. You're out of ETFs like you're out of the bank because there's no point in being in an ETF. ETFs don't help you. So the fact ETFs are down is the guy, if he was stoic, would say, well, where's the money going? Oh, the money's going into physical. But he can't see the transaction. He just sees ETF was here and now it's down here. Yeah, but where did this money go? Oh, it went into physical. He doesn't know where it went. And people are pulling their money out of banks because they're scared to shit that they won't be able to get the money out. And they know there's still a bank crisis going on. And when the dollar goes out, so because we're proactive and we see the iceberg head and we are off the Titanic, we keep bringing that up because it's a right to the point. It's called reaction, right? We're stoic, so we see something, we react to it. Boat hits the iceberg, get the fuck off the boat. Dollar going to zero, get the fuck off out of the dollar and get into something. And the only something we can get into is gold. The fact Bitcoin hits just shows me, Bobby, that people are scared and don't know where to put their money. But because they don't know about gold, they go Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not going to save you. Bitcoin's not money. As I stated, money, the one thing you need is acceptance. And people don't accept Bitcoin because nobody knows what the fuck the value is. Is it portable? It's electronic. I don't know. Is it scarce? No. Is it durable? No. Is it divisible? I don't know. I guess you can get a bit fungible. Is it the same? Have no idea. Is it accepted? No. Gold fits those criteria. Bitcoin doesn't. But you have to understand what a medium exchange is and what are the principles. So there's 6 principles I just read you. But you have to know that to understand that Bitcoin is not a medium of exchange. So therefore, it is not money. Currency's fiat. So we don't talk that way. These guys don't even know they're talking currency. But this is the point, is the gold fits as a medium of exchange. And that's where we need to go because all the politicians are corrupt. I mean, watching the Putin interview, now everybody's talking about the interview. Oh, this. Fucking just listen to, even listening to Tucker Carlson. I don't really like him. I don't really trust him. I don't know. I was waiting for them to give him the Band-Aid on the hand so they'd hurt him. Putin, he didn't ask him to, he asked him about Norton, oil, who blew it up? Well, you know who blew it up. You know the U.S. blew it up. Why'd you ask him the question? Do you want to stop the war? He says, yeah, but there's nobody who wants to. I was willing to stop it a year and a half ago. He doesn't even want to be in the war. It's costly and everything else. He wants nothing to do with the war. He just wants business. That's why he's into gold, because he knows gold's gold. But he didn't ask him about gold. He didn't ask him about, are they coming out with gold-backed rubles or gold-backed brics? I guarantee that. So Mark McGuire is supposed to have that answer by March 1st. It'll be a nice birthday present for me. That's where it is. I sent Daria money for, I said, here's money. You buy as many roses as you want. Like she said, you buy odd, you don't buy even. So I said, you can buy, if you want to buy 11 roses and some candy, or you want to buy 7 roses and candy. I don't care. I'd like you to buy a few roses for Valentine's Day. And, and then go and enjoy yourself. So she was at her clinic for her neck. She said her neck doesn't hurt, but her hand hurts. So I'm still curious about, is it a nerve issue or what? I'm beginning to wonder with my foot if it's a arthritic problem. I went to the pool and my foot hurts a lot more now. I might take a week off of the pool. I don't want to, but I might just hot tub and get on the bike and see if that will help my foot, because I think it won't go away, and it's like it can't be out for this long. And certainly the way I'm eating is not something. So in my mind, it is possibly arthritis. Is what I'm thinking, because I'm not eating anything that should cause gout. But we'll see. So anyway, so Valentine's Day is Wednesday, so Daria's got the money. So and then what's good is she'll show me. This is, it's probably, I said, we'll get 7 roses and, wish your daughter, happy Valentine's Day also. That way she gets a gift, and then go get a nice candy or whatever you guys would eat. And so I was pretty happy about that. Jenna still has the flu, I guess, so that's not good. I haven't heard from Irina, who had COVID. She's in the hospital with the baby, and I haven't heard from her in a week. What's going on? And still, Jenna goes, "How's work? What's the word with work?" I said, "I told you I didn't get it." So anyway, this was the silver I bought. I bought 10 ounces of silver, ridiculously cheap. See, Bobby, when you get upset that silver's $22.77, go buy more. You're missing the point of the class. And then he had all this silver, but it was a full tray. So you missed the point of the class. When the price is low, you should be buying it. So you're getting frustrated. Why isn't it going up? It's sort of like Kansas City was down 10-0. So think about it like this, Bobby. Kansas City was down 10-0. What did you do? You bet on Kansas City. And then they won for you. And you didn't know when they were going to score, but you knew Mahomes was going to win the game. And he did. And that's how you got to think of gold and silver. When they're down 10-0, what did you do? You bet on KC. When it goes down, you need to bet on silver, because at the end of the game, it's going to be $2,000 an ounce. The dollar's going out because of the inflation and of the debt. So those two are in your back pocket. You know why. You don't know when, but you know why. So if you get a chance to buy it at $22.77, it's the same as Kansas City being down 10-0, and you doubled up your bet, or you tripled it all. I don't know. You had 4 bets on KC. Take that money and go buy gold at these cheap prices. I mean, if they're going to give it to you, buy it. Now let's see, because you looked at 10 o'clock, which is always a tough time. See, now it's at 2019. So it did go up from our 10 o'clock drop, which I warn you about every day at 10 o'clock. It's London setting the price, and it's 2020. But soon London won't be setting the price, and that's the point. And that's what we're waiting for. So Alligator said the price will be way up by the end of 2024, which could mean third quarter. We're expecting third quarter. We're expecting Putin's having 200 meetings with all these new countries wanting to join BRICS. 35 countries want to join the 10 that are there already. That's 45 countries want to get out of the dollar. The dollar goes away, or it's just nobody demands it. And the only alternative is gold. And BRICS wants to come out with a gold-backed currency. We don't know when. We don't know what inning we're in for that, but we know that's the plan. So you take advantage of the low price by buying it like you did Kansas City. You bet on Kansas City when they were down 10-0 because you knew they would win. It's the same thing. You buy it at 22.77, or you probably pay 24 because because you know it's going to go up. They're just keeping it down for now, but it's going to be blowing up. And that's what you must understand, which is what makes time travel possible, by the way. So keep that in mind, Bobby. You're right on Kansas City, but you can't see it here. You expect it to go to 35 by now, which understood. I keep waiting to see it higher also. But when it isn't, I understand they're holding on to the dollar and holding on to it, but there's going to be a point. I'm sure they did in Rome. The Romans, are sitting there trying to figure out, we're Rome. We can't go broke. The Ottomans can't defeat us. Yet that's exactly what's happening. And there was a quote, I'll try to find it, in that the Four Idiots, and they said that the Ottomans got the wealth. So as the Romans were taking the gold and silver out of their coins, the Ottomans were getting the gold and silver, and they were becoming more and more powerful because they had the gold. And that's when they defeated the Romans. As the Romans didn't have any gold, they had the gold, and they defeated them because their army was getting paid in gold, and the Roman army wasn't getting paid, and said, well, we're not fighting. And what's happening now? The Chinese and the Russians are the ones grabbing all the gold. And I don't know what the central banks are buying, but they're buying a lot of gold, right? Consistently, every month, so many tons. And if you watch Money Heist, 90 tons is not, it looks like a lot. So if they're buying 300, 400, 500 tons a month, it doesn't seem like a lot, but how many do they have? And then add it up. And again, we got 100,000 tons in China and Russia. So remember, China's got 60,000 tons and Putin's got 32,000 tons, roughly. Why does Putin have that? So if you're worried, Bobby, just ask yourself that question. Why does Putin have 30,000 tons of gold? And I'm sure similar in silver. Why does he have it? He's Putin. He's a smart guy. Why would he have it? Because he knows it's going to go up. So China's waiting for us to collapse, and Russia's more, well, we need it for our ruble, and we want oil paid that. And he knows the U.S., like he doesn't even care about it. He's like, why should I call Biden? He's an idiot. And he kept saying, doesn't the U.S. have more important things to do than bring troops into the Ukraine? Like, don't they have the border to worry about and the inflation to worry about? And there was one other, and the debt, like $35 trillion debt. Shouldn't we worry about that? We're not even worried about it. There's nothing they're doing. And anyway, so keep that in mind. Don't get all flustered over the price being low. Take advantage of it, because that's you're not going to see those prices much longer. Now, I know we've been saying that, but we know, again, maybe we're in the second inning and then the fourth. Because I'm such a critical thinker and so stoic, I know that's where we're headed, but I might be very quick in it. I might be very quick to say, yeah, let's buy it, but most people aren't at my level, so they don't see it yet. But that's where it's headed. And all the central banks are buying gold, so don't think there's no demand, and silver too. Well, they don't buy silver as much as they buy gold, but silver automatically goes with gold. So when gold goes to 3,000, silver should go way up. To like $300-400 an ounce. The biggest point, Bobby, is you can't miss it. You can't not buy it, and then the price goes up, and then you want to get in like the Titanic. You get off the boat while you can, but as it's sinking is not the time to get off the boat. You get off the boat when it's filling with water. You get off the boat, and that's what you've got to realize is. You buy the gold and silver now while the prices are cheap. Don't worry about like, oh, they're not going up yet. But you can't. Are you losing? No, you're not losing anything. What did you pay for them? Pretty much this price. And if you bought the $1, the real currency, you paid what, 35 or 30 money holding this. You know this is losing value. You can go to the grocery store and see it. You see the tuna going up and the steaks going up and everything going up. So that's really what you're looking at, is all that shit going up. That's the whole point of it, is realizing, you know, the dollar's out. You're getting out of dollars is the bottom line. All right, what else? Those are my videos. That's what they're talking about. What was I going to say? Something will pop in. It always does. So you try to be stoic, which means you be smart. So here's where you really want to be stoic, is you understand what's going on. And then you make the decisions based on you understand it. So you understand it's COMEX keeping it down, and you understand it's going up. So you stay stoic and you go, what's the right thing to do? And it's to buy, right? It's not to sell. You don't want to do that. And again, you can't stay in the dollar because it's collapsing. All these countries, you got 30, 40 countries wanting to join BRICS because they want to be in the BRICS currency and they want to get out of US dollars. Everybody hates the US because they're controlling and it's always strings attached and all this stuff. So you really are looking to get out of it, right? So just understand that all the central banks buy gold, and China and Russia. So just try to understand everything and be calm and be rational. Think about it, and you'll be fine. So that's the most important. Like my foot hurts, so I'm trying to be stoic, going, well, why? Well, I'm not eating anything bad. Okay, why? So I went to the doctor for some more pills, which are good for gout. So I've been taking. They make me so tired. I took some. It was Saturday night, and man, I slept till like 10 o'clock yesterday morning because it just made me so tired. But I thought that was good. My foot bothers me more now, but I just ran in the pool, and I'm thinking, I notice it's hurting in the pool. Well, that's not gout. That's probably arthritis. So I got to be careful. I do a lot of walking. I walk the lake and I walk in the pool. And I think you just wear your foot out. I think I just need to rest it. And again, I eat well, so that's not it. But that's what being stoic is. It's just being smart. Be smarter than everybody. Think about things. React. Try to figure things out. If this happens, then that happens, and then you're ahead of the game. So we know the gold's going up. We know the dollar's going out. So it's just it's a natural stoic reaction to buy the gold and silver now. And by the way, we get these low prices. So yeah, you can get frustrated. Why are the prices low? Or you can say, you know what? They're low. I can buy more. Yet everything else is high. Housing's high, going higher. Interest rates aren't coming down. They can't because, again, the Fed can't lower them. And then the banks that charge are only going to raise them because it's a risk to them. And they've got a lot of things. They got a lot of loans out there worried about getting paid back in. So that's what they want to do, is get paid, make sure they get paid back. So they're not totally fucked. Real quick. The value of money. The market talks in prices. So always watch the prices of things, tells you. So you're reading gold as prices, but it's not a real market. So you got to be careful when it's a Ponzi scheme market like gold and silver, or if it's a real market like Mahomes and that. Let's see. There was 3 periods of economic growth. I'm looking at my notes. From 1879 to 1914, worldwide growth of 4.9%. Everybody was on the gold standard. Amazing how that works. The money supply can only go up 2.5%. The prices drop, which is good. The change in cash was less than the change in goods. Percent increase cash was less than goods due to greater productivity. So it didn't go up because they were printing money. It went up because of the productivity of people. The second was 1921 to 1929. So the first is 1879 to 1914. The whole world's on the gold standard and everything goes through the moon. Then the Fed comes in 1914 and it stops. They, fuck around printing the money in 21 to 29, 1921 to 19. High tide of the Federal Reserve, best growth ever, just only in the U.S., not worldwide. Prices, the economy grows 5%, productivity goes up 5%. Henry Ford came out with the car, which helped productivity go from the horse and buggy to the car. So that's one of the reasons. Increase in cash equaled increase in goods. It was stable. That's why you didn't have inflation, because you needed more money, but the productivity was good. So if you have money and productivity go up, that's not inflation. So you could add money. The problem now is they print money to pay the debt, but it's not, there's no productivity increases. In fact, it's probably down, and that's the problem. So going from a gas power car to an electric car is not an increase in productivity. Going to windmills and solar is not an increase in productivity. So this is the problem. You're spending, but you're not increasing productivity with any of it. And then the last one was 1981 to 1989, 3% growth rate. American manufacturing was 30% more productive because of computers and electronics. Prices did go up. So we had the productivities, right? Computers, cell phones, electronics, all of that made it grew because you had these very highly productive goods and services. So 81 through 89, we probably haven't had anything since then. All right, just a general note. Only the banking system can increase the money supply. Let's see. Inflation lifts the rates. Retirees took their 3% out as disintermediation. Then they sell their IOUs. IOUs value went down. Interest rates went up. Value of IOUs go down. So if you're in bonds and the rates go up, the bond itself goes down. The worst investment for a bank is real estate because it's long term. It's not short term. Real estate is very risky, fluctuating interest rates and trade cycles. So keep that in mind. Banks get fucked in real estate, and yet where are they? Look at BlackRock. They're in, and the guy's not that rich. He handles everybody's funds. Doesn't make it. It's not his fund. He just handles these funds. They're just in his portfolio. All right, 3 types of inflation we've talked about. When the money supply increases, so they print faster than the price. So the prices aren't going up, the money supply increases. This is called demand pull. Prices raise inflation rates. So as there's more money out there, people go buy, and the demand for the goods makes, so in other words, I'm printing money. I got more money, so I'm buying Bellagio cups. And if a lot of people buy the Bellagio cup, then they raise the price on the Bellagio cup. That's called demand pull, and that's inflation because they printed the money It wasn't based on productivity. If it was based on productivity, it's not inflation. Number two is money supply equals prices. So they print money and the prices go up accordingly. That's called cost push. These are types of inflation. And the third type is the worst, is the hyperinflation. And then here's the true definition. The money supply increases, but the prices based on the stoic thought of, oh shit, here comes the money, the prices are going to go up. My tuna is going to go up, my steaks are going to go up. I'm going to buy more, which is what I've done a lot, is I pack my freezer with meat anticipating the prices going up. And the money supply increases, prices increase faster. Expectations drive the whole system. This is what hyperinflation is. It's the frenzy of the anticipation that it's going to be more expensive later because they're printing dollars. I better buy more later. So there's that fear. That's when that's what will happen because of the inflation. So you realize that prices go up, and then you start thinking, well, I better buy more before the prices go up more, right? Fritos are now $5 for a bag. Well, I better buy more. It's a bad example because who needs Fritos? Let's say it's eggs or apples or something or cans of soup, let's say, something that's stable. So cans of soup goes up to $2. I know it's gone up to $2.50. So I go buy a bunch of chicken noodle soup. That's what I like, or chili. And I buy it now at $2, $2.50 a can, because I'm worried it's going to go to $5. And that's where all the shit is headed, right? They'll keep, and you'll think their price increases. Like Daria said, oh, I didn't look at the roses went up to almost $3 a rose. I don't know, what were they before? $1? But you wouldn't buy a bunch of roses because they wouldn't last. But like cans of tuna or cans of soup or spaghetti or something that's going to stay. So you sit there and you go, I'm going to go buy like 100 cans of tuna at $2 a can before they go up to $3 a can and go from 5 ounces to 4 ounces. So you're being stoic in the planning and the understanding that I better buy more because I know the price is going up, because I know there's inflating, which means they're printing more and more money, making the money worth less, which makes the prices go up. It takes more money to buy because the money is worth less. Well, we know that's happening. And they can say 3% all they want. We know that's not true. So we buy more, and that's what happens. And so what I tell Bobby with the gold and the silver is buy more. Buy more of that like you buy tuna before the price goes up. That's really what I'm trying to do, is the hyperinflation of gold and silver. So we know gold's going to go up quite a bit, mostly because the dollar's losing value and because we know the gold's been suppressed, so the gold's going to go up. So it's a double header there. So we know that's what's going to happen. So instead of buying tuna and chicken noodle soup and popcorn and spaghetti and things that last for a while, we're buying that with gold and silver. Now, if I buy soup now, I buy 100 cans at $2.50 for, chicken noodle soup, and it doesn't go up right away. I just keep buying more and more and more, going, I know it's going to go up. And the fact that it hasn't gone up right now does not mean it won't go up. And that's where we get, like Bobby, worried, oh, it's still $22.77. Yeah, but that's not really the worry. That's okay. We know it's going up, and it isn't going up yet because it's still price fixed by JP Morgan with the derivatives. We know why it's not going up. We know it's got nothing to do with demand. And therefore, we know it's because of the derivatives that COMEX is doing. So we know it's being price fixed. So why would you worry about it? It's not because there's no demand. We know there's huge demand for it. My guy can't get the Buffaloes anymore. He's getting this New York City crap. So that's what we know. And we know the demand's coming. The more, as soon as the gold comes out, what they owe, or that they're coming out with gold-backed currency, or that they want to get paid in gold for their oil, anything that Putin says about the gold, and it's coming soon, is gonna people will wake up. Oh fuck, there's water coming in this ship. We better get off. I was watching this other Titanic movie or something about the Titanic, and it's like, well, the iceberg really wasn't a big hit. We went back to bed. I mean, it's like, okay, we wonder why these were survivors. I think it was a survivor thing. It didn't seem like much. Okay, so you got off the ship before it went down, but you're basically idiots to ignore the iceberg hitting it. But that's what you do, right? So you realize, if you understand, and that's what I want to explain, you understood KC was going to win. Bobby went and they were down 10-0, but he still understood they were going to win. And so he makes more bets on them and he cleans up because they do win, because they have Mahomes. Well, we knew why, because they had Mahomes and a good defense. Why are we so high on gold and silver? Because we know the inflation, meaning the supply of the dollar is huge and going, and we got a $35 trillion debt, which they got to print dollars to pay the interest on. And we know there's inflation, 3%. I doubt it's more like 20. All right, 15, let's call it. We know there's inflation. We know they have to keep printing, and we know the definition of inflation is printing. You're inflating the money supply. Well, we know they're doing that. They're calling it prices because they don't know. They're giving you bad information. So it's like, is the boat sinking? And they're saying, well, but we got dinner coming up soon, or I'll bring tea to your place, instead of going, yeah, the water's coming in, you better get the fuck off. They don't say that. I love how they don't want to cause a panic. And then as the ship's sinking, here goes the panic. So yeah, maybe it should cause the panic. That's the same thing here. They don't, it's prices are going up because of the dollar. You don't measure inflation by prices, but you got to be an Austrian economist to understand that. The Keynesians don't understand it. They think it's prices. Well, we looked at the CPI, even though we don't include 3/4 of the shit that goes up. Oh no, it's 3%. Bullshit, it's 3%. Anyway, understand the dollar is being printed and there's a huge debt. If you just understand that, and people don't want to be in the dollar, you're ahead of the game. You realize the dollar's in trouble, because if there's no demand for your product, you don't have a market. And if nobody wants the dollar, you don't have a market. Nobody wants it. So as the foreigners realize this, like I said, Daria said, oh, the roses got expensive. And I said, no, they didn't. The ruble is losing value. It costs more rubles to buy it. All I know is that I sent her $100. She gets it's like 91. So $1 buys you 91 rubles. So $100 buys you like 91,000 rubles. It's insane. Yeah, it'd be nice to get all that money, but then everything costs a lot in rubles. And that's really the problem. That's the inflation. You can't afford it. You can't afford to eat. You can't afford to go out and do anything because it's so expensive. You think they golf in Russia? I read something today on Google about people had moved from Russia and the Ukraine to Turkey, to where I'm going to go, this Anatolia, which is on the Mediterranean side. And it's like a house is like $1 million. I don't know if it's dollars or what. I don't think it's dollars. And now they're all moving to Dubai because the prices in Dubai are cheaper than the prices in Turkey. So all the Russians and Ukrainians not sure where they're getting their money, although we think we know, are all getting up and moving to Dubai, which is making things much cheaper in Turkey because everybody's leaving. And I thought that's interesting, which leads me to, where are all these Russians getting all this money? So it's a crooked system, which shows you why people like, let's call it Keynesian or communism. Some of the people do very well, but most of the people are like slaves. Daria can't afford food, but everybody's living in these fancy houses in Turkey and moving to Dubai to save money. But are they buying gold? I don't know. But that's why I read that. I was kind of surprised. Like, where are these people getting all this money? It's the same thing here. You got communism, and you've got your Bill Gates and Warren Buffets who have all this money, and then you got some people working, and then you got a lot of people poor selling their gold to get by because they need money. So it's a bad situation. You want Austrian economics, then everybody gets the benefit. No, I could have taken Daria there, but I think it's very expensive. I think Turkey's a better place to go, but I've never been. I've never desired to go there. So a lot of the hot Russian girls go to escort there. I know that. It's a lot of, Egyptian or Chaldean or the Middle Eastern. A lot of the wealthy oil Middle Eastern people live there and get the Russian, Ukrainian hot girls to escort there. But outside of that, I don't know. I think it's going broke, Dubai, actually. But you can see, why are the housing prices going down? No demand. Prices are, as I just read, prices are the thing. And if you look at prices, tell you demand, right? The Brady car went down to 7,000. It was 18. So it's going down because of demand. But in this case, you've got to read the whole thing. And that's what deflation is, which is really made up. It really doesn't exist. But because the Brady car went from 18,000 to 7,000, you're going to call it deflation. Well, no, it's people need money and they're selling it. So because people need to eat, they look at their assets and they sell their assets for food and clothing and rent and car payment and all that stuff. And that's what happens. So you sell your assets, which is why I can get gold at my gold store, because people are coming in selling their gold so they can eat and pay rent. That's what's happening. It's not there's a less demand for gold. I know it's great and I'm going to sell it because I need money to eat and do other things because you're fucking me up in this economy. And that's what happened. That's why deflation doesn't exist. Prices go down because of demand. I need money, and since the money is worthless, all the prices are up. But if my gold or my Mahomes card or my Brady card, I know I have value in it. So watch your prices. Oh yeah, you and Daria are going to Turkey. Has she got her passport that started out? Yeah, she showed me that. So she's got her passport, and we're just waiting on when the daughter's spring break is. We know it's the 23rd, but she said she might have to go to school one of the days. And I'm saying, just tell them that we're on spring break, we're on vacation. That's how it would be here. Like when you're on spring break, mostly the teachers don't want to come back, but I don't know how it is in Russia. As far as if they're off for the week, why would she have to go into school? So I'm hoping that's not an issue, or we can say she's not coming in that day, because we're going to be out of town. So I'm hoping, I want to go for a week. It's hard to go to Europe or Turkey in this case for 2 days or 3 days. It's just too tiring. You leave. If I left on Friday, I'd get there Saturday. I'd be, it's going to take me till Monday to get clear my head and get the time and everything. So I don't really want to only go for 3 days. But a week gives you 4 or 5 days to get used to the time zone. But yeah, she got it. Yeah, we're hoping to go New Year, Christmas and New Year's, but this is fine. I don't know. I said just, as long as we meet, we can wait. We've been trying to go for 2 years until the stupid war broke out, right? So we're ready to meet, and then the war breaks out. And now you hear Putin going, well, fuck, I would have ended the war. I didn't even want the war to start. And then Boris Johnson comes in and keeps the war going. Like, why is it up to him? And why is Zelensky sitting there taking it, right? Zelensky should be like, no, it's not good for my people to get killed. 500,000 Ukrainians have been killed. Why do we keep going? We can't beat the Russians. I mean, they have no chance to beat them, and they're very corrupt. So they keep getting money from the U.S. Like, what's that about? Why are we giving them money to fight a war that they can't win, which makes no sense? So anyway, yeah, the goal would be for me to fly to St. Pete, Russia, and stay with Daria for a while. That would be the best. And then she doesn't have to worry about leaving and Turkey and everything and all that. But we can't. I can't. I should have talked to Putin after his interview. And problem is I would need a visa there, and would my money work there? It's like I see Tucker Carlson there. I'm like, how the fuck did you get there? He must have flown to Turkey and then in and gotten some sort of visa because he was doing the interview. I assume he was able to get one, but I don't think I could fly to Turkey and fly in, but I don't know. I'd still need a visa and money and everything. So maybe I could. I know there's I heard somebody on YouTube. He's a U.S. citizen who lives in Russia, but he's probably been there. I think he's been there for 5 years or something. One of these, what's life really like? Well, if you're in the mafia, it's really good. And if you're not, it sucks. But this war should be over. Should never have started. And the U.S. keeps pouring money in, of which they're taking it all out. That's the deception. They're giving them money, but they're not. Then they get it right back. So Biden, here's $1 billion and give me back 500 million. That's what's happening. It's all corrupt. The whole system's corrupt, needs to come down. And that's the beauty of gold. It keeps the system going, and that's why they're fighting it. So Bobby, when you see the price of gold or silver not going up, it's because they don't want to go into that system, because they can't be corrupt and steal, because you can't print gold, which is why we like, from our standpoint, it's perfect. From the people in power, they don't want anything to do with it because they can't. They have to go to gold and they can't print it. So that's why they keep the price down. So it's all price fixed. It's not real. All right. Stagflation. It's high inflation and high unemployment. We've heard this term several times. That's the real definition. So inflation's high, they're printing, and it causes high unemployment because a lot of businesses go out because they can't raise their prices. So like I say, the guy can't make the ribs $45, so he has to go out of business because he can't keep selling the ribs, and they're costing him more, and he's got to pay for it. What I hear a lot is these Coney Islands where they're charging $10, $15 for salads because their rent's going up, their energy's going up, so they have to raise their prices, but they can't make the hamburger $15. Nobody will buy it. So they end up raising the salad prices because a lot of people are healthy and will order salads. And so they kind of raise those. I see they're like $10 for a salad. And I'm going, fuck, I go to the grocery store and I get the salad. The veggies pretty cheap. So anyway, keep that in mind. Now there's different types of inflation. Like the next section, there's species, which can have inflation on gold, which happened once. They found a lot of gold, but not normally. The debasement, which is what the Romans did. Nero started it. He burned houses of wood to put up marble. What a leader. Silver and gold was 100%. Gold was 100%. Then silver and gold was less than 100%. That's the debasing. You start pulling the silver and gold out of the coin. Gold was less than 100%. That is inflation. And that is debasement inflation when you're just dealing with coins. This was 68 AD to 500 AD. Fiat money. Government runs the presses. China first. Government prints money to cover the deficit. Not realizing they're devaluing the money, which sounds like what we're doing to pay off the debt. We have this huge interest. So we print money to pay the interest. But as we print the money, it lowers the value, which is why you're going, why is gold and silver not going up? Because every other asset's going, or every other thing's going up because the dollar's losing value. But that's fiat money. Fiduciary credit inflation is the most dangerous. This is banks printing the money. So the fiat money is the government printing it. The fiduciary credit inflation is the banks running it. This creates the trade cycle, and this is the most dangerous, and that's what we have JP Morgan to thank for. So of the three, the government's fucking us any which way we can. The last thing that you want, though, is the government to have a monopoly on the printing of it, which is what we have, which is what's so dangerous. And that's what creates the trade cycle, is the bank credit inflation. And we've already discussed the trade cycle, so I'm not going to go back through that. So remember that the market in prices. So you see what things cost based on the prices. However, but that's not how you measure the inflation, because they can't, if I can't raise the price of, if nobody will buy the whiskey at a higher price, how do I measure inflation? Wait a minute, this should be $100, but nobody will buy it, so I got to lower it to 75. Doesn't mean inflation's down, because inflation is printing this. So if you catch and understand that you're inflating the supply is what the real inflation is, and therefore it's worth less, then you're way ahead of the game. And I think very few people understand that that's inflation. I think most people see what Alligator will say is purchasing power. And it's kind of similar that because you're inflating, you can't purchase. It takes more of these to buy the same thing because the value of this has dropped. So if this is $10 and then you inflate, now you need $15 to cover the cost, because you've printed this means you need more to that. The problem is, well, nobody will buy it for 15. And that's where it's still 3% because look, prices haven't gone up. Well, because nobody will buy because of the market. And that's the one thing that they don't tell us, is that prices can't keep going up. Now I noticed the vegetables, the broccoli heads are now $3.29 a bunch at Meijer's, at my low cost grocery store. I don't buy it where I buy my meats. That's too expensive. But $3.49 for broccoli heads. I'm like, and usually you get a big one. It's a pound, and but that's still relatively low compared to it's healthy and everything else. Like I said, I was very happy when I went from my foot to the doctors. They take my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was 120/87. They're taking it, and I go, well, what is it? Because I don't want it to get back to 180. They say, 120/87, and I'm dancing around the office going, okay, thank God. So that's why I know this works. I know the fasting helps. Now, granted, I did a 65-hour fast early in the week. But, you got to be careful on your sweets. But still, I can see it works. 120 over 87 when I was 180 over 140 a couple years ago. So that's why you get stoic. Stoic people will ask, the doctor says there's nothing you can do, it's hereditary. And I go, no, that's diabetes, not type 2. How am I going up? I'm eating sugar. So what is diabetes? It's high sugar. Oh, okay. Once you understand it, then you go, well, so if I don't eat sugar, but then you got to understand that carbs are sugar. So you're eating bread going, well, I'm not eating sugar. Yeah, you are. Or bagels, yogurt, you got to be careful with. So you've then got to realize, hey, I better have a lot of salads and but I have steaks and chicken and hamburger. So then you start realizing, okay, I'm avoiding the sugars and the carbs. And then guess what? Oh, my blood pressure's down to 120. So don't tell me I can't lower it, but you have to be stoic. So you figure out the problem, and then you figure out, what's wrong, and then you come up with a solution to your problem. So I got high blood sugar. What is it? Okay. And then what do I do? Stop eating sugar. Oh, okay. And how do I do that? Oh, well, stay away from carbs and high fructose corn syrup. So out goes the Miracle Whip and all the dressings and the barbecue sauce, and in comes Ken's salad dressing and Hellman's mayonnaise. And I'm using the salad dressings as barbecue sauce and a lot of olive oil. And I get rid of my canola oil and all that shit. And I get rid of my yogurts, and I get rid of my Cheerios, which I think are healthy for me. And I got to be careful with my fruits. Bananas and apples are high in carbs, a little, but not every day. And realize that you've solved your problem. Then what happens? The solution is my blood pressure is 120 over 87. And the best compliment I got after that from the doctor was, how old are you? And I said, how old do I look? He says, you look like you're 50. And I'm in my 60s. And I was like, okay, sounds good to me. So I sent a lot of pictures to Daria and Jenna. Jenna, I think, knows my age. Daria, I'm not sure. No, I told Daria my age. So she's got to be loving that I look and act pretty young. When I'm at swim, I still think I'm 25, 30 years old. I'll see some old men in there, and it's a shake my head moment, Bobby. I'm just sitting there going, Jesus, this guy looks like he's dead. And I don't know that we're the same. And he might be 80 years old, but I'm like, knowing I don't act or look in my 60s. So, yeah, Daria can still have fun with me. I told her, don't worry. It still works. So that's what we're at. Let's see. So again, if productivity is increased, then there's no inflation. If you just print money and hand it out, that is inflation for no, like welfare is inflation. You're just printing money and handing it out. Sorry, Bobby. Let's see. Now that you say that, I actually saw Coney Island in Clearwater the other day. What do they sell there, by the way? They have good food. No, it's crap food. It's a lot of hamburgers, and then the Coney Islands are hot dogs, actually. So when I go there, I get like a half-pound burger. It tastes kind of funny. You get fries with it, or you can get a hot dog with it, or you can just order hot dogs as your meal. They do have egg, omelets, and then salads and some chili and stuff like that. That's their menu. It's kind of lower class. Like if I go, I get a hamburger and chili or a hamburger and fries or something. But it's hard for me because I know if I get 3 pounds of hamburger, it's $5, $6 a pound. So for $18, I can get 3 pounds of hamburger. With 3 pounds of hamburger, I can make 9 or 10 hamburgers. And yet I'm paying $7, $8 for a half-pound burger, which God knows what's in it, and God knows how they made it, right? So I get 2 hamburgers or I can get 9 hamburgers. So that's why I cook a lot. A, it's cheaper, and B, it's healthier. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you want like a hot dog or a hamburger, it's okay. I wouldn't get the salads there. They're very expensive. Do you put Ken's French dressing on meats like chicken steak? Yeah, absolutely. I don't cook with it. I put it on salmon as a cooker, but if I'm making a steak, I'm putting on Italian dressing, spreading on my spices, and taking the brush to that. Then when it's done, I cook it. I then eat it. I'll put Ken's French dressing on the side as I would ketchup or barbecue sauce. And then as I cut up the steak, I dip it in the dressing for the taste. It tastes great. So yeah, that's how I eat it. And when I go to get my ribs, I will bring Ken's French dressing, A, for the salad, and then B, for the potato, and C, for the chicken or the ribs, to not use their barbecue sauce is so sweet. When I leave there, I'm in pain. Either my foot or something just doesn't feel right because of all the sugar in the barbecue sauce. So I'll bring my French if I know I'm going to go there. And then I'll just put the chicken, I'll dip that in the French dressing instead. Laugh out loud. Yeah, there's some guys that are 40 and ready to call it a day. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. If you just stay, that's why I go to the pool every day. It's really for your mind, but it's also keeps you in shape, and you stay away from the sugar. If you just eat right. See, I look like this because I never smoked and I don't drink. That's why you look. There's a friend of mine I used to work with. He smokes all the time, and was in his early 50s at the time. This was 7-8 years ago. I couldn't look at him. He looked like a leather pouch because of all the smoking. He was not a pretty sight to look at. It was like, oh my God. And that's why I look like this, is I don't smoke. I never had. The smoking, all the poison just kills your skin and everything. And the drinking, so all that really deteriorates you. Well, I never did it. So that's why I still look like this, as opposed to looking like fucking Frankenstein's monster. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people think I'm in my late 40s, early 50s all day. And that's why I still can get the girls, because they don't think I'm in my 60s. But like Daria, she just wants somebody to kind of feel safe with and take care of her. And the Russian women don't mind the older guys. But when I look like this, she's like, oh, fuck, that's fine. No problem. But if I look like an old 65-year-old guy who looks like he's 80, I would not have even entertained that fact. But everything works fine, and I'm very healthy. Like I said, the only problem is the damn foot. My back's 100% now, doing all the back exercises. So, my worst, everything else is fine. So, she's fine, so she's not even, she's like, wow, this, he's the best looking 60-year-old guy I've ever seen. Right. So I don't think that's an issue with her. Mostly she wants to be safe, and she knows that I teach gold and silver. So she's excited about that, but I don't think my looks are bothering me. And Jenna's 40 years old, and she's not shying away either. She once came to me a few years ago, and she says, I've just turned 35 or whatever. And she says, I'm an old woman. And I looked at her like, what are you talking about? You're not old. I mean, you still look 20-ish to me. I mean, she's thin and in good shape, and she's aged a little bit, but not. I didn't care. I mean, it was fine. Bobby Bo, like Frankenstein, yeah. Imagine Brett Bielema at 60 years old. He's gonna look like a fat, leathery Humpty Dumpty. He looks like that now. I mean, these coaches that smoke are just, I think this is why people die younger. is all the smoking and liquor. Like Andy Reid better lose weight. He won't be around for next year's Super Bowl. What are you doing, man? Stop eating like it. See, let's use this scenario. He doesn't know that he's fat, that it's hurting his health, and he's going to have a stroke because I'm sure it's a lot of sugar and it's hard on the heart. He doesn't understand that. Just like gold. If you don't understand, you got to understand the dollar's collapsing and everybody's getting out of it and everybody's joining BRICS. If you understand that, then you understand to go to gold. But if you don't understand that, you'll never leave the dollar because you don't understand there's a problem with it. So he doesn't understand that he's heavy. It's hurting his organs, and he's diabetic for sure. And, he's going to have strokes and things like that. He doesn't get it. So when he eats his donuts and his ice cream and his pizzas and whatever the fuck else he eats that makes him, 500 pounds, he'll start realizing that, right? Once he realizes, then that's like when I didn't know I was heavy, but I didn't know why. I'm eating Cheerios and yogurt, and I think I'm eating healthy. And then once I realized that that's not healthy, you can't have cereal and yogurt and a lot of fruit and stuff like that, and your ketchups and your barbecue sauces. So everything I'm eating salads, but I'm putting on high fructose corn syrup salad dressing. So once you realize what you're doing to yourself, then you can avoid it. I remember when I first watched our doctor, I threw out half my food. Well, the Cheerios got to go, and the cornflakes got to go, and all the salad dressings and my Miracle Whip, all gone. Barbecue sauce, because it's all high fructose corn syrup, and that's what's making me heavy and sick. And once I got rid of that, then I'm like this, and I got 120 over 87 blood pressure. Okay, Bobby Bo. Actually, I take that back about Bielema. He will have to make it to 61st. Poor guy needs some help. Well, him and Andy Reid should be joining the class. I mean, they just but the thing is, this is how, if we take it to finance and money, what's going to happen is people aren't going to survive because they're going to be so poor because they don't get it. If you trust this and you don't get it's going away and you don't get the gold and silver is coming, then you'll be like Bielema and Andy Reid, way overweight, and you don't even understand, you're killing yourself. And that's the same thing. If you don't understand the dollar's going out and BRICS and gold and silver is the only answer, not Bitcoin. So you're getting mad because Bitcoin's 50,000. They don't know any better. You can't get mad at it. You just got to shake your head going, what a bunch of morons. I know I'm doing the right thing. That's where you got to be stoic, Bobby Bo. You know you're doing the right thing. You know gold and silver is the right thing to do. Don't worry about the prices. Again, we don't know what inning it is. We know it's a 9-inning game, and we know when the game ends, gold and silver are king. But we might be in the 3rd inning. But should we not keep buying gold and silver? Should we worry about the price? Oh, okay, they got a double. They got a guy on second now. Yeah, but we know we're going to win after the 9th inning. So I don't care. They got a guy on second. So that's the problem with these heavy guys. That's why when I'm in the hot tub or the pool and I see a big heavy guy, I want to go to him and say, I've done that to people. I say, I can save your life. You got to get off of sugar and carbs, but they don't listen. So either they don't want to listen, or their doctors told them there's nothing you can do, or they don't trust me that I know what's going on. See, people might not trust me, right? Who are you to tell me? And that's the problem. Oh, gold's making a move. It's back to 2020. Again, paper and silver at 22.69 is actually up 3 cents. But again, we don't care about that. It's not real. here's a case where prices aren't real, but then you've got to understand that it's fixed, it's not real, it's JP Morgan, we're not getting the real price. Just like alligators not getting the understanding of portfolios. Well, we've got our money into coins, but it doesn't show in the portfolio, and he doesn't understand that. Like, if gold, but gold is surging, but it's all hidden gold. All that we do, me, you, and Luke, and we buy gold and silver, it's all hidden. We go to the store, we buy 2 ounces. We go to the store, we buy 10 ounces. We go to the store, we buy a bunch of silver. It's not hitting a portfolio because it's hidden. It's hidden wealth. We put it in the safe, we put it in our bed, and we don't sit there with it. We just, it's not counted. So it's insane, these guys. I drank too many beers throughout yesterday. I look forward to going back to a long break from drinking again. Oh, there you go. Nothing until the Final Four in March. I'm going to conserve my energy to focus on my money and health. There you go, Bobby Ball. Take a little walk or go to the pool and really just relax. And the more gold and silver you own, see, they're waiting for you. You don't realize it. They're waiting for you. So when you can buy more, you got to be thankful that it's still, 22.69 and 2020. So you got to realize that they're waiting, that you can still buy more if you can find it. I'm able then the only reason my guy has it is people are coming in selling it. And, that's it. Once people have sold their gold, I get to buy it. But if people don't sell it, I can't buy it. There won't be any out there. And that's kind of my biggest warning and fear for you guys can you find it? Are you going to be able to find it when it hits 3,000 an ounce? Are you going to be able to find it? I mean, we're pretty sure that's what Mark McGuire says will be 3,000. Alligator just said gold will be much, much higher by the end of the year. So he's playing stupid, Mark Alligator. I don't know what he's doing. He's up to something. But once it moves, so what I'm trying to prepare you for, Bobby Bo, is don't look at the price. Look at the prices it's waiting for you. Like, we're in the 3rd inning. We got 9 innings to play. We don't know when the 9th. We don't know what inning we're in, but we know at the end of the game we win, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. So as long as the price is low, buy. This is a buying opportunity of a lifetime. Then when the price goes up, you're going to be going, okay, then I can't afford it anymore. But that's when I use my silver to buy gold. So you buy 20 ounces of silver, cost you $500 now, right? $25 an ounce times 20 is $500. And you got 20 ounces of silver, and gold goes to 5,000 and silver goes to 500. And at that point, you walk in, and with the 20 ounces of silver, you get to buy 2 ounces of gold because it'll be 10 to 1. Now it's at 92 to 1, but it'll go to 10 to 1. That's what Mark McGuire told us last show. And if that's the case, you've turned $500 into 10,000 because you got to buy 2 ounces of gold for the 20 ounces of silver that you paid 500 for. You turn around and buy the gold at 5,000 because now silver is 500, and you buy 2 ounces of gold for worth 10,000 for $500. Where else are you going to find that type of return? No, okay, Howard, that's not going to happen. Yeah, okay. But we know why it's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but we think by the end of the year for sure. But we're thinking by the 3rd quarter, it should be there. It's as soon as BRICS goes with the gold-backed currency and Russia, and they start getting gold for oil, and the demand for gold goes up, and the demand for the dollar goes out, and the dollar gets printed to 0, and everybody runs to gold because all their currencies are fucked. So as soon as that happens, we don't know what inning that happens in, but we know it's part of the game, right? It's part of the 9 innings. We just don't know what inning. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, just have a budget and stick with your budget. And like me, I'm not working. And Jenna goes, are you working? I go, no, I'm just waiting for my goal to go up. And I have enough cash to bridge me. And then Social Security, I got my money today. So that was good. And it went up because of inflation, I guess, or whatever. So that was good. And nothing really went up. Rent probably will go up in May when my lease runs out, but last time it was only $15 or something. I'm noticing my utilities are going up a little. So hopefully not too bad, because I keep it cool in here. I don't care. I just throw a sweatshirt on. Again, I'm living alone. If I get the girls in here and they get cold, they're going to turn the heat up. So I got to be careful with that. And outside of that, food's really not too much. And gas I noticed went up. I was able to get it for $2.79 a week or two ago. And now I'm seeing it back into the low threes. So, it's I don't know why gas went down, but that's clearly controlled, right? So keep in mind, to be stoic, when prices go down on gas, go, what the fuck's going on? Because it doesn't make sense that tuna's up and Orioles are up, but then the gas price goes down from $3.30 to $2.70. You're like, okay, what's going on here? A lot of that's going to be for the election. Look, everything's fine. But when the election's over, all shit's going to, all hell's going to break loose. But it's a lot of political. That's the problem here. It's too much political. I was watching the guy from Canada. They hate him there. The guy from France, they hate. And again, this Argentina guy who seems like a libertarian, which is like what we are, low taxes and low government spending and free trade. He made one mistake. He's using the US dollar, which he doesn't understand. That's going out and that's heavily inflated. And it's not what you want to be in. It's what you want to get out of. He should have went gold back, but they probably told him they'd kill him if he went gold back, because the U.S. doesn't want anybody in gold. But when China and Russia do it, they're not going to be able to stop them. But this guy probably wanted gold, and he seems like he understands Austrian economics. So why would he not want gold? And that's the other problem with life. Here's the U.S. government sticking their nose into. I'm in Argentina. What the fuck? What are you guys doing here? This isn't America. But that's what they do. They stick their nose in everywhere. I'll be glad when the U.S. stops interfering with everybody and just lets everything happen. You don't want the U.S. and all these countries telling everybody what to do. It's a sure way to make a lot of enemies, which is what we're doing. So let's see if there's any. What else can we quickly look at? So Keynes is the evil. He thinks savings is a leakage. It comes. What's INV? Inventory. So he thinks savings goes up, consumption down, investment down, output down, income down, and savings down. So he thinks that savings is bad because you're not spending. And what he doesn't realize is the banks take the savings and loan the money out so people can do companies, which will expand the economy by creating these new businesses. So that's what Keynes never understood, but he doesn't like savings. So that's the big problem. So he's the bad guy in all this. Let's see. There's some good ones. Quiz 3. Let's have a quiz. Inflation and Unemployment by Senholtz. So this was out of a book. My teacher would give us a lot of these books, not textbooks, and we would read them, and then he'd give us different things. So inflation and unemployment basically is inflation reduces labor productivity and produces unemployment. So how are we not in a recession when this is what inflation does? By it kills productivity, and then costs go up, and you can't raise prices. See, this is the point that most people miss. With inflation, your costs go up, but can you raise your price? Oh, why isn't Coca-Cola $10 a bottle? Because nobody will buy it. So you still have to look at the market, right? What will the market let me sell it for? And this is what most people are just way over their heads. They don't get, they just think that, what do they'll talk about? This Reichert guy talks about deflation and stuff. And really, it's just the costs go up. So you want to raise your price to make your money, but you can't raise your price because the market says, I'm not going to pay $45 for ribs. And so therefore, you mark other things up, or you go out of business because you can't handle the higher costs from the inflation, which is basically making the money worth less. So you need more money to buy your ribs and pay your rent and pay your utilities. So as your costs go up, what you got in business for in the first place, we're running the barbecue place, is we need to sell so many ribs, chicken, and burgers and salads at this price. And then we can be profitable. But as inflation is, now all my costs go up, but I can't make my customers pay me more. That's why there's so many people going out of business. That's the danger of inflation. But that's why they'll say inflation's 3% when it's 20. Bullshit, it's 3%. Don't believe that. There is no Phillips curve. The curve is a joke. Inflation and unemployment are meaningless. Okay. Institutional unemployment is involuntary, creates an excess of labor over the demand for labor. Interesting. Government is the only force that can interfere with the purchase and sale of labor by labor laws, taxes, levies, permits, and licenses. Labor unions are bad. Government backs unions to control the workforce. Labor unions are bad. I worked at a union at the grocery store when I was 16. Kept me from playing on the golf team at Oakland U. And basically, it's a disincentive to work. It's a disincentive to do more. So in other words, I worked at the grocery store, and I'd unload the trucks, and I'd fill the pop and the wine and the beer and help in the dairy. And if I worked really fast, I got no benefit from it. I got a raise every 90 days, let's say. But I got no raise for doing a good job or putting the pop and beer up fast and helping in the dairy. I got no raise for that. My only raise came from time. Well, that's stupid. So unions are not raising you for the productivity you're doing. So that's a case of productivity. I can put up all this pop and beer and wine to help the dairy. I'm being very productive, right? That's now you're being productive. And then I can do more, right? Oh, this is supposed to take 4 hours. Howard did it in 2. We can give him more work to do because he's so productive. But in a union, there's no benefit for that. It's just time. I would work 4 to 11 because of the seniority, and then I would, and then I was just there for this 8 hours, and then I'd take a half-hour lunch, and on the weekends I'm handling all the football bets for everybody. It's funny. I'd go to the phone and I'd get the scores, 1-800, scores, and I'd listen to the scores, and I'd tell everybody who was betting because of me. So even back then, I didn't have a YouTube because it didn't exist. But I was, helping my fellow farmer jackers to make money on football. I'll never forget that. What a fun time that was. But a union prevents you. You've been here 9 months, you get a raise. Your seniority is going to put you at 4 o'clock till 11. 5 days a week, you'll make 40 hours, and this is the rate of pay. And the more time you put in, then you get raises, not your productivity. And as soon as that, and I kind of felt that. I was very stoic without knowing it, but I felt that that's what was going on. Then why be productive? Why work harder? There was no benefit in working harder. If I did the pop in an hour or 3 hours, there was no benefit. What's the benefit of doing for an hour? Oh, I get more work to do. But of that, you're not giving me a raise or anything else. So I quickly realized a union is terrible if you're a productive worker. If you're stoic, Austrian economics. I wasn't Austrian economics. I was 16, but if you're stoic and you want to do a good job, there's no point in working for a union, because you'll do a good job, but you won't be able to get rewarded for it. So why do it, right? So it's almost a disincentive to be productive. What the fuck is that all about? So labor unions are bad. Inflation lowers labor productivity. Cyclical unemployment, sign holds. Government is solely responsible for the business cycle and the unemployment that results, because companies will lay off because their costs go up. They can't raise their prices. So they got to lay off people to stay in business, because it's the only way they can cut costs, because they can't raise the price. So Coke charged $10. So their costs go up. They can't charge $10 for the 2 liter because nobody will buy them. So they got to keep the price at, $2.50. But then they're not profitable. How do they get profitable? They lay off people. Then they don't have to pay them. So they save in wages, because it's the only other place you can save. It's wages, or it's how much you get off of each bottle of Coke. And that's causes unemployment. So when you ask me, are we in a recession? This is why I say yes. If the costs go up, they can't pass the cost on to everything. So therefore they have to lay off people, which is why it's hard for me to get a job now. But because I bought all this gold and I got my Social Security, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. The complexities of division of labor. Most productive countries are hurt less than the least productive when there's inflation. The capitalistic contribution to production. Government intervention. Government is the sole responsible for the business cycle, as we said. Eliminating runaway inflation. Lessons from the German hyperinflation. This ought to be good. The Germans printed new money and halted future inflation expectations. Lesson of the monetary reform. Policymakers must have credibility, convince public, stop inflation. Anti-inflation policy, one, focus, eliminate inflation, and be wary of pessimistic conclusions that inflation can't be removed. Interesting. Lessons of German inflation by Hazlitt, another economist. Hyperinflation, 1919 to 1923. The Reichsbank printed a lot of money, and they got off of gold, the key. Inflated for the war. November 1923, circulations of 245 billion, or went up 245 billion times. Prices went up 1,380 billion times. Holy fuck. So in November, billion times more Deutschmarks, and the prices went up 1,380 billion times. So 245 billion more money, 1,380 prices went up. The prices went up dramatically more than what they printed. But because you couldn't stop inflation or convince the public created this frenzy, which we're talking about with the Titanic so much. And that's really what we're looking at is this, right? We're trying to, judging from what I know, I'm telling you what's going to happen from what I know because of what happened before. When we get the frenzies, when the gold goes to the moon, the gold will go up and the gold will go up, and people might start asking why or see it go up. As my friend at the gold store says, when prices go up, everybody comes in to buy. Well, what happens when prices go to 3,000? He'll have a line around the block. And then when the frenzy hits, that's when it really shoots up, right? Because then people are scared. Oh shit, I better get out of my dollar before it's worthless. The only thing to buy is gold. You might get some idiots buying Bitcoin, but it's priced in dollars. You don't want to be in Bitcoin. Because gold's not going to save Bitcoin. People will not. So Bitcoin's at 50,000, Bobby said. So the dollar goes out. Bitcoin's at zero. Is gold going to save Bitcoin? No. Somebody owns a $500,000 house. It's $500,000. The dollar goes out. The house is worth zero. But gold rides in and saves the house. And now somebody offers a couple ounces of gold, and the guy sells the house because the ounces of gold are now worth a couple $100,000. And actually, they're not worth anything in dollars. They're worth their own. So when the house goes to zero, the house can't have value on its own. When gold is valued in dollars, goes out, when the dollar goes out, gold then becomes the medium of exchange, and then it really goes through the roof, and then it can buy houses and cars. And that's the key about gold that Bitcoin can't do, and gold's not going to save Bitcoin. Oh, you got a Bitcoin, it's worth so much gold. Well, maybe that happens, but at the bottom line is you need the gold to do it. All right, one more page. The Great Depression by Seinholz. So Seinholz is the author. Cause of depression, business stagnation, and unemployment. The business cycle, boom and bust. Stock market crashed, interest rates went up, businesses declined, profits dropped, government had price controls. So the government caused the Great Depression, mostly with the Harley Tariff Act, but it was stagnation and unemployment. So businesses, because of the inflation, businesses couldn't make money. The costs went up, but they couldn't pass it on, and everybody's unemployed. So nobody's able to buy lawnmowers and tractors and housing goods and things like that. So businesses decline, profits drop. Government comes in with price controls. What the fuck are they? You can't have price controls. You can't go to the business and say, you can only sell this Bellagio cup at $10. Well, if my costs are 15, I can't sell it for 10. So I'm going to get out of business. And that's what happens with price controls. They don't work. They're really bad. High tariffs were the big problem. Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, as I said. It went worldwide. Farming collapsed because we couldn't export. This led to a banking crisis. 1931, unemployment was 8 million people, and I assume that's in the U.S. 1932, government doubled income tax. So you're taking money out of the economy, giving it to the government. How does that solve anything? Government caused the depression. Tariffs, price fixing, farmers, high income tax, subsidies, all other taxes were raised. Bad idea in quotes. This is your depression. FDR devalued the dollar by 40%, which means he inflated. So he inflates the dollar, it loses value. Everybody loved FDR. He was a salesman. He was a terrible president. He caused the depression and let it go for 10 years. It was all his fault. He seized gold holdings. He started minimum wage, government spending at $10 billion, revenue were $3 billion. So you're getting 3 in and you're spending 10. Doesn't seem like a good idea. NRA, the National Recovery Administration, was terrible. Labor unions were bad news. What do we know about the Great Crash by Reynolds? The 1920s were great, not bad. It's crashed due to government intervention and the Smoot-Hartley Tariff Acts, calling for increased tariffs on imports, monetary control, and the political business cycle. Pool, 5 sections, public debates on the policy making. Oh, God. I want to say motels. That doesn't sound right. Objections of the Fed, the number one problem syndrome, and political gaming. So that's some things on the depression. At the end of the day, when you ask me, are we in a recession? I can answer it like that by looking at what I learned, which means as costs go up, businesses, the prices are set. This is $50 because the market determines it. If you raise my cost, I'm fucked because I can't just raise my price on the whiskey. People won't pay it. We've determined the price already. $50. It cost me $30. I can make money on my whiskey and people can buy it for $50. If you raise my cost to $50, I can't just start selling it at $70. The market won't let me. You're unemployed. You have less money. You're inflating the money, so the money's worth less. So all these things, there's a recession because costs go up. So interest rates, so inflation, interest rates, all this leads to higher costs, and it all leads to a recession and a depression. So we're in a recession. This is what I tell you. And I can tell you it's because of the higher costs. Now you can sit there and they can say, oh, inflation's 3%. We know that's bullshit. Based on what? Based on prices? Well, you can't base prices on inflation. And that's really the problem with it is. And deflation, because I can't buy and the Brady card's 8,100 instead of 18,000. Is that deflation? Well, no, that's just temporary. The market value is 18,000 for Brady, but people need money, so they're selling it cheap. But that doesn't mean your Brady card isn't worth it. You just got to wait for everything to roll back. Once you get on gold, the Brady card will be worth a lot more. But it'll be, so the key is everything's priced in dollars goes to zero, and then here comes gold and the assets in gold, the Rolexes and your house and your car and things like that get repriced into gold. And that's really all that happens. You're just switching your medium of exchange, which is what people want to get paid and to use to get paid and to use to buy. That's the medium of exchange. So if you quit fucking it up and printing it to death, that's why gold is such a perfect medium of exchange, because you can't print it. You can't ruin the value of gold. And right now we need COMEX to get out of the fucking way so we can get a real price of gold. But since we have this low price on gold, take advantage and buy it. And then when gold goes up to its real price, that's my point, Bobby Bo. You'll be, on the elevator up, because they can't keep fixing it. And it'll go to its normal real price. And what I'm saying is that real price is not 2,000 because it's the paper derivative price. Then you wonder why these 4 idiots are with the gold mines don't know what they're doing. There's no demand for gold. What are you talking about? The central bank in the world's buying it. We're buying it. It's just not on the radar. You don't know we're buying it. So they're all clueless. But what do you expect from these idiots? Anyway, so that's the gist of it. That's the gist of the depression and inflation and all that. So really what you're trying to do, they keep fucking around with the real price of the inflation. So if you don't have a stable amount of what your money's worth, it's hard to get a stable amount of anything else. And that's really what we're looking at. So what I'm trying to get to you is so you understand what's going on. Once you understand it, then you don't listen to the bullshit and you don't worry, as Bobby's doing, about the COMEX dropping. Oh, gold's down $5 today or silver's down. You don't worry about it because that's not the real price. So as long as you know it's not the real price, what the fuck you worried about? Silver being $22.69. You know that's not the real price. It's the COMEX price because they want you in dollars to play the Ponzi scheme game. Be in the banks, be in Wall Street. That's what they're trying to do. That's why it's hard to get out of it, is because the people want you in it, right? And if you're not intelligent, you don't know that. I'll buy stock then. I got to get my money out of the bank. Well, I'll buy. Apple stock and Microsoft. Yeah, that's what I'll buy. Because everybody else is in it. I don't know anything, but if everybody's in it, they must know something. So it's guilty by association. But nobody's in gold. We are in gold, but we don't advertise it. So it's a very unique situation where if Microsoft goes up $2 a share, everybody knows it. But if the demand for gold goes up, nobody knows it. Nobody knows I went to my store and bought 5 ounces or bought 20 ounces of silver. Nobody knows it. So it doesn't go up. And that's the problem. I don't think the store's doing anything. Maybe they get count from the store, but I doubt it. I'd be shocked. If anybody knew I bought 20 ounces of silver, I'd be shocked. And it's certainly not going in my portfolio, although my portfolio is one way. It's gold and silver and my Mahomes and Brady cards and Mantle cards. That's my portfolio. Those are my assets, right? But my portfolio is no stocks, no bonds, very little in the bank. That's my portfolio. And I'm fine with that. I don't need to be in. Why am I in stocks that are going to get crashed? As soon as people wake up and realize the dollar has no value, there is no stock market. It's going to make 1929 look like a Boy Scout retreat. Now, when does it happen? We don't know. We just know it's going to happen. So we play it safe. I'm very conservative, right? I'm out of the stocks, out of the bank, into gold and silver, and I'm not looking at every 5 minutes what COMEX is doing. I do pay attention, but I'm really looking to see, did it hit 20,000 today? Is silver at 200 yet? That's all I'm looking for. When did it make its move? Right now it hasn't. Okay, fine. But I know I'm right. I'm just waiting. So it'll go. And I know it hasn't gone yet. It's 2,000. But it was 1,700 2 years ago. And I know I bought a lot at 1,700. And now it's at 2,100. So it's moving. It'll be 3,000 according to Mark McGuire and Alligator. And I think once it hits that 3,000, then mom and pop and everybody else goes, oh, fuck, we should be in it. Now, how does that affect the price? Again, they don't care if we buy it. It doesn't move the needle. It only moves when COMEX blows up. So we really need the COMEX to go, or the rush. We need Putin to raise the gold price for his ruble and brics and oil and energy, wanting to get paid in gold. And then you're going to be wishing you would have bought it now instead of, oh shit, I got to buy it now. So again, that's what we know is going to happen. So that's what you got to do. All right, time for dinner, 5 o'clock. Hope you enjoyed. Great Super Bowl. I hope you made money. Bob I know you did. I nailed it, but I'm simple. I did the teaser. I think I did 25 teaser bet on KC in the under. So a win's a win. I don't bitch about how much. Oh, I could have won more. Yeah, I could have lost more. So it was fine. If I'd have bet more, I would have lost. So I'm happy where I'm at. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Valentine's Day and Wednesday. Just it should just be the acknowledgement, but enjoy Wednesday and have fun with the girlfriend, the wife, whoever you're going to have fun with, and enjoy. That's what life's all about, right? All right, www.teaserking.com. If you need my email, please hit it there. And have a wonderful night and go have some dinner. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy.